The Nose Patrol is on the job.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, July 16th, 2020. This is your award-winning Give-O-Nation Media Assassination, episode 1260.
This is No Agenda.
Confirming China is asshole. And broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're all loaded up with Goya seasonings, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill
In the morning.
Hey, I don't know about you, but I turned on my computer this morning, and now Microsoft has determined that dragging a file from one place to the other is a security risk.
What does that mean?
This morning, I'm dragging clips around, all within the same drive. And every single time I want to copy a clip or move it somewhere else, Microsoft Windows pops up an alert, security alert, this is new, says, are you sure you want to move that file? And you have to click yes, but there's no way to say, I'd like to have this go away.
That's a virus. That's not Microsoft.
It's the Microsoft virus alert. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's a virus that's gotten into the system and it's doing that.
Well, it must be a virus from Microsoft that they put in their update.
Well, I'm not saying that's not a possibility, but you do browse and go to websites and float around, so that's not necessarily that you didn't catch something.
Okay, well, to me, it looked pretty much like a Microsoft thing. But okay, it's a virus.
Well, I mean, just ask the chat room if anybody else has ever seen what you're describing. I sure haven't.
I don't know. Well, the trolls say it's a new security feature. They've done a whole bunch of things. Outlook stopped working.
Security feature.
I was reading
I'm moving my stuff from drive C to drive B. Drive B is a floppy disk, boy.
No, that's the D drive. D drive is a floppy. Or F drive.
No, A and B are the floppies. Oh,
you're right. A and B are the floppies. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and a lot of people, after the Tuesday update, Outlook stopped working, and I guess they're still trying to push updates to everybody.
Well, that's a feature.
I agree. Outlook not working is a huge feature. When we did our show on Sunday, I started with news that was local to Florida. We were in Florida about these testing centers reporting 100% positivity rate. And we did it right at the top of the show. And I got a lot of hate mail in the form of, this would be example. My wife says you're full of crap. Proof. Show me proof. Where's the proof? Because these days, no matter, even if I just post something innocuous or reply to someone on Twitter, trolls come in and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to take my advice from an ex-VJ. Because you have to have the right credentials, I guess. You have to have some kind of studies in order to have an opinion. But as it turns out, oh boy.
The Florida Department of Health releasing its daily coronavirus testing report, showing a statewide positivity rate of 11%. But Fox 35 quickly noticing some shocking positivity rates. Countless labs reporting 100% positivity. That means every single person tested was positive. We sifted through the report to find local testing sites with high numbers. Like this Centricare. 83 people tested and all positive. Check out the Orlando VA, a positivity rate of 76%. NCF Diagnostics has a location in Alachua, 88% of tests coming back positive, and 98% for Orlando Health. How could that be? We investigated these astronomical numbers, contacting every location.
Well, it's a local affiliate, so they can cut them some slack.
This guy, and how can that be?
Well, because these guys were jacked because this story went viral very quick.
Mentioned. Orlando Health, the only to respond, confirming errors in the report. Its positivity rate is, in fact, only 9.4%. Now, we just heard back from the Orlando VA. They are looking into the numbers. We haven't heard back from the other two labs or the Florida Department of Health. Of course, it makes you wonder if these numbers are wrong. Are other numbers on the report also wrong? We'll stay on top of this story.
Yes, on top of the story. Well, of course, the numbers were wrong. And this is not like something incredibly new. Testing goes wrong. Testing is not 100% perfect. In fact, I think you brought it up, the H1N1 swine flu. The Obama administration called a halt to testing because of the error rate. And this was the same CDC, some of the same people, actually. And someone dug up the report. Here's a 30 seconds just so you understand that this is not novel.
If you've been diagnosed with probable or presumed 2009 H1N1 or swine flu in recent months, you may be surprised to know this. The odds are you didn't have H1N1 flu. In fact, you probably didn't have flu at all. That's according to state-by-state test results obtained in our 3-month-long CBS News investigation. In short, only a small fraction of cases that doctors flagged as most likely to be swine flu actually tested positive for swine flu at state labs. The vast majority of the cases were negative.
So that's how trustworthy the systems are, same type of test. And I guess the administration took some action and put out an order, a change, which we will have Nicole Wallace of MSNBC, who I have plenty of good clips from today. We'll have her read this out and talk about her amazement about what's happening.
I want to just read to you from what the New York Times has just posted and ask you to react. The administration orders hospitals to bypass the CDC with key virus data, alarming health experts. Trump administration has ordered hospitals to bypass the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and beginning on Wednesday, that's tomorrow, send all coronavirus patient information to a central database in Washington.
Now, this is the New York Times. Notice the positioning of where the data is going. The data is going where?
All coronavirus patient information to a central database in Washington.
A central database, and it's probably run by Jared Kushner.
A move that has alarmed public health experts who fear the data will be distorted for political gain.
Oh.
How scary is that to you?
Well, let me ask you, John, how scary is it to you that could be done?
I am scared to my socks. I'm sweating thinking about this.
It's pretty scary to me.
I'm so scared.
This is now the woman she's with is very interesting. She is the ex-CEO of Planned Parenthood, who resigned after a very short amount of time. If you,
that's the one that was in there for she's the short timer.
She's the short timer, and she is she was born in China.
It's also inexplicable. I mean, what is the rationale for bypassing one of the preeminent institutions in the world? The CDC is admired around the world. In fact, other countries have named their own equivalent of a CDC, literally the CDC, the Chinese CDC, for example, is named after ours.
Yeah, you can go to China, in the Wuhan, and say, where is the CDC? And they'll point you right to it.
Because we are the ones, because our scientists and public health officials there are the best in the world. The CDC is supposed to analyze the data coming from different regions in the country and look for trends, identify these trends, inform the public about them, and then also synthesize guidelines and inform the public about what to do next. That's what the CDC is supposed to do. And I don't understand where this data is going instead.
I don't understand where the data is going.
What is this woman doing? Is she an expert on the CDC? Is she a infectious disease expert? She's the ex-head of Planned Parenthood. What's she got to do with the price of bread?
Well,
why is she even on the show?
Two reasons. One, she has a Chinese connection, and this will be a theme for me because there's a lot of Chinese stuff happening. Two, what do you mean? She used to run Planned Parenthood. Of course she's connected to population control. Please. It's obvious why she's on. That was MSNBC. Now we do my favorite. We'll go from MSNBC to CNBC, the same basic news organization. And somehow they were able to read the information that the White House posted, which explained where this mystical database was and where the information was going. And even the New York Times kind of made it sound, I didn't get a clip of it. I even heard a report somewhere. Donald Trump says it's coming to the White House. That's where the data's going. But it's right there. Yeah. I mean, they publish it on whitehouse.gov. It's an official
nobody
release.
Reads that. They went on this. No.
Here's CNBC, a little bit closer to the facts, but still can't help themselves.
Hey, Dr. Gottlieb, I read several stories yesterday about how Health and Human Services is going to be taking over the state's reporting of what's happening with coronavirus cases. It won't be going through the CDC anymore. It will be going through Washington. Many of those stories raise the question about whether that would politicize the data, whether you could trust it at that point. I just wonder what you know about this and if you will trust the data that Health and Human Services is putting together at this point.
You see, what was in the New York Times a database in Washington is, in fact, the Health and Human Services, of which CDC is a part of, and the database is actually located at a National Institute of Health server. And again, this is all in the documentation.
Well, the data is still going to be shared with CDC. I mean, there's been some frustration about the CDC systems being somewhat old and not being able to collect the data in a very efficient way and not being able to report the data in an efficient way. I think the preferable path here would have been to try to build out the systems inside CDC and not try to recreate the wheel. I think there's a temptation when you're in government, if something's not working well, you just try to rebuild it somewhere else, as opposed to trying to fix the system that exists, that's in place at the moment. And I think they would have been better served probably investing in what CDC is doing and the CDC systems, because CDC is a better repository for information. They have the scientific expertise to cull this data in a way that no other agency does.
All right, so I'll just cut to the chase on this. So the CDC databases aren't working, clearly. There's no quality control. There's just willy-nilly reporting. New is that if you're in the hospital and you're tested 15 times during the course of your 3 or 4 day stay, you count as 15 cases. But more importantly, this data has been functioning as a procurement measurement system, which I didn't realize. And resources such as money, along with treatments, vaccines, future vaccines, PPE, mass ventilators, are determined by this testing data. So maybe it's just possible that one or two of these testing or hospital places inflated a little bit to make sure that they were prepared for the surge or they got enough of the stuff that they wanted. It's all very, very, very sketchy. But okay, it's going to a database in Washington, and the president is now sifting through your information is going to do something evil to you. But what about the death rate? What about the hospitalizations? There's so many hospitals. The hospitals are overrun. A perfect interview with the Florida hospital CEO, Leah. What is her name now? I'll get her name in a second. This is on, again, MSNBC. Now, what are we being told? Hospital beds are filling up, ICUs, over 100% capacity. But it's not exactly the way they're telling it, and the truth always wants to come out in this interview with the CEO of this Florida hospital.
It's so dire at this point where we've had to actually separate parts of our hospital. So we have 2 emergency rooms now.
Okay, so first of all, the elective surgeries are back. So if you're saying your hospital is overwhelmed, it's not quite the same when we stopped all elective surgeries and the whole hospital was ready for COVID cases. So now
you should also note that there has been a pent-up demand
for these cases,
for the elective surgeries.
And elective surgeries is not like, oh, I think I'll go to the hospital and have something done today. It's a categorization of any treatment that is not emergency. So, if you need a heart valve or something, a stent put in, that's an elective surgery. If you have a heart attack, then you're different. Sorry?
Yeah, no, all that is true. And these people need these surgeries. Elective surgery doesn't mean it's, casual, as you just said. Mm-hmm. It means you need the surgery, but so now everyone's piling into the hospital, sure.
Yeah. So she has 2 emergency rooms. Now, if we needed to, we could go back to the original hospital setup, which was no one is allowed. So just bear in mind that full is not exactly the way it sounds, but it gets better.
Of our hospital. So we have 2 emergency rooms now. We have one for, as you said, appendicitis and all of those other, very, very critical issues that people come to an emergency room for. And then we have a separate emergency room strictly for COVID so that we can isolate those patients and prevent the spread. Right now, my ICU is at 187% capacity. And I'm able to do that by creating additional spaces. But
I love these numbers. I'm at 187% capacity. And I can do that because I still have room left. I don't understand.
And I'm able to do that by creating additional spaces. But it is what it is. Sooner or later, we will run out of space. So we've got to get control over this disease, and we have got to stop the spread. The good news is that about 98% of the people who come to the hospital are discharged. But if you go into an ICU, you have a 30 to 35% chance of never leaving. And so it's very serious, and we have to make sure that...
Oops, cut it off there. Yeah. So it's 30% of the 2% go on a ventilator and may not survive, but 98% of all patients are discharged. Discharged from the emergency room, discharged from the hospital in general. It's flaky. And it's no comparison to the initial hospital resourcing that we had at all.
No, and that's what's being done by the media.
Yes. And it's really...
The media reports on these hospitalizations is just completely out of control. It almost makes it unlistenable.
It's really the information that you're not being given, which makes it the worst. It's so bad, and it's so obvious what this is all, pushing towards. Let's get a little update from, let me see. Why don't we get a little update from our buddy Tedros? Let's see what China has to say about the sitch.
If governments do not clearly communicate with their citizens and roll out a comprehensive strategy focused on suppressing transmission and saving lives, if populations do not follow the basic public health principles of physical distancing, hand washing, wearing masks, coughing etiquette, and staying at home when sick, if the basics aren't followed, there is only one way this pandemic is going to go. It's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Say it 3 times so they remember. There you go. If you do not comply, if you do not follow the rules, if you're not listen, if you're not a rule follower, it's only going to get worse and worse and worse.
Play this clip. This is kind of an aside to your hospital report. I got a kick out of this. This is the COVID hospital death studies.
One thing that hasn't been mentioned much in the debate over reopening the nation's schools, the expenses involved. While much of the back and forth has been over health and policy, school and union officials say the cost is also a major concern. They say there's a long list of extra expenses ranging from additional teachers, custodians, and nurses to the cost of purchasing protective gear. Stocks gained ground today on Wall Street. The Dow up 227 points. The NASDAQ rose.
That's your clip.
Well, I did a pretty piss poor job of editing it.
You forgot to cut off the other minute of drivel.
Yeah, we'll let it go.
It's okay. It happens to the best of us. Yeah, so they just keep on pushing vaccine though. So now we're getting all kind of exciting news about a vaccine, but this is the wrong one because the Oxford University has very exciting results with their COVID-19 vaccine. They have licensed it to AstraZeneca, and it is developed, oh man, are you ready for it? In close coordination with China. And
they stole some documents. Good.
Oh yeah,
you know why it's good?
identical.
Because AstraZeneca will help pay for your prescription.
if you can't afford it, it's in the small print on their advertising. And of course, this is not the way it's supposed to go. So I don't have any clips, but Fauci's out there saying, "Well, now don't get too excited because it's not Moderna's vaccine." Yes. It's so obvious. Oh, we're not very excited about this at all. No, this is, I don't, meanwhile, the Moderna vaccine has induced adverse reactions in more than half of the trial participants.
And there goes the stock.
But it doesn't matter. CNN will just keep everybody hopeful that one day, I will once again be able to fly on an airplane.
I have four children. Youngest one is 10 months old. You know, the biggest concern is flying with kids. I don't want them to get sick. And with like a 10-month-old, she's gonna want to crawl, right? And she's at that age where she'll put everything in her mouth, right? And she's always touching things. And then the other concern is, you know, right now it's hard to trust other people, I think.
You have the crowds at the airports going through security. So you're just exposing yourself. And more than that, you have people with this virus that may not show symptoms until, you know, you're on the plane, and then it's too late.
You're gonna die!
Especially if you're going overseas. You can't go anywhere. You're stuck. I'll wait. I'll wait as long as I have to. Even when a vaccine comes available, I'm not going to be the first one to run out and get it. I like to make sure that it's going to be effective and it works.
I mean, if it lasts a year, maybe 2 years, that's just what we have to do. I mean, you know, I obviously want the kids to get out. I want my wife to go do the things that they want to do. I want to go do things that I want to do. But at this time, it's just what it is. I mean, so we just kind of have to put up with it and make the best out of our time.
Won't somebody please think of the children?
Oh, yeah, my children, I can't fly because, you know, my toddler crawls around and puts everything in her. You're going to need to teach your kids early, man. Don't let your kid crawl around on the airplane floor. And maybe we should talk to some pediatricians, as NBC News did. Talk to 5 pediatricians about even getting kids back in school. You all right? What are you doing?
Trying to crack this. Just keep going. Never mind.
NBC News talked to 5 pediatricians, children doctors, said, well, how would you feel comfortable sending your child back to school under these horrible circumstances, even without a vaccine?
Would you let your kids go back to school?
I will. My kids are looking forward to it.
Yes. Period. Absolutely.
Absolutely. As much as I can.
Without a hesitation.
Without a hesitation, yes.
I have no concerns about sending my child to school in the fall.
I would let my kids go back to school.
Dr. John Torres, NBC News.
Okay.
Well, that's odd.
Especially for NBC. I don't know how that slipped through. Something went wrong.
I don't know, because everyone's been messaging just the opposite.
In fact,
as I put in the newsletter, they're messaging the butterfly effect. Yeah,
yes.
Well, the kids will be okay. They won't catch it, but even though they won't catch it, they're going to bring it home, and you're going to catch it, and then you're going to give it to your uncle, who's going to take it to this old folks home, and then all the people in the old folks home are going to die thanks to your kid going to school.
A study in the New England Journal of Medicine shows the only reason for keeping children home from school is politics. It's always nice for a medical journal, but they said it. The Texas teachers are now calling on state leaders to delay school reopenings. They're a lazy bunch here in Texas. I know a couple of these school teachers. I'm not that impressed.
This is a teachers union. I'm betting $10 on it.
And the Texas State Teachers Union is very powerful and very, very wealthy.
All the unions, all the teachers unions across the country are moaning and groaning about this. I do have one report from New Hampshire, which is where they're going to open, whether they like it or not, because there's no cases there.
Okay.
COVID New Hampshire schools to open.
New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu said schools should resume classes in person this fall. He's giving local districts flexibility as they make rules on distancing and wearing a mask. Reporter Sarah Gibson has reaction to the plan.
The state's largest teachers union slammed the guidance, saying it was full of shoulds rather than requirements that would ensure safety. But Gorham Superintendent David Backler says the flexibility is a relief. It allows his area, which has had barely hardly any coronavirus cases to get back to school.
Everybody's a little nervous, but the vast majority wants to get back into school, and the majority wants to get back to school safely. And that makes a lot of sense. We want to do that as well.
Districts across the state are expected to announce in August their plans for the fall, including, if cases rise significantly, how to switch back to remote learning.
In March, Google Classroom had about 15 million students. They now have almost 100 million students on Google Classroom, which is mining your children and preparing them for the G Suite when they grow up, and no one is even thinking about it. Yeah, just throw them on Google. It's going to be great. That's the default. That's what all teachers go to by default. Google Classroom, sure. The kids have to sign up to Google. They're tracked through Google. They're tracked through Instagram. I can't understand why people allow that to happen. And
it's baffling, I agree.
And doing this stuff via remote, even a Zoom call can kill you.
In Arizona, 3 teachers who shared a classroom to teach summer school students online all contracted COVID despite following CDC guidelines. One of them, a longtime educator, died.
Oh. I don't know if they were all, I don't know if they were on the Zoom call or what was happening.
No. I should mention something here that you have to remind people of this. I used to write about it and just constantly reminding people because I had, when I was younger, Control Data Corporation had created Plato, learning, machine learning system, not machine learning, but a computer learning system for students. You could take Plato courses. And I took a couple of them, and they were on these crazy terminals, and they were professionally designed. The whole thing, it was a teaching system that was remote. It was computer learning. And they studied it and studied and studied it, and they made these conclusions that it's no good. That computer learning is mediocre teaching. It's not good. It's not like being in a classroom where somebody can catch you making an early mistake that you're going to fundamentally screw up everything with from then on. And I took these courses, and it was like, I always thought that they were kind of, they were fun. You got them over with. You always got a good grade. And it seemed like you were learning something. But in fact, when they studied it, they discontinued the whole program because it didn't work. It was a piece of crap. And every time people kind of keep trying to go back to computerized learning where you just sit in front of a computer and try to learn something, it doesn't work. It's no good.
When was this? When was this? What year?
It was a long time ago.
Like 70s?
Yeah.
Remember
it was discontinued in the mid 70s.
Remember the one laptop per child people? They were going to save the world.
Sorry, I can't have to laugh every time I hear that.
If only we could create a computer under $100. Meanwhile, Raspberry Pi, $19.
Yeah, but it doesn't have a hand crank.
The real tragedy that's coming out, and I don't know if it'll change because of the lockdowns, etc., or what will happen, but the birth rate globally, certainly in the Western countries, is alarming. Like really, fertility rate, another rate we have to look at.
COVID boom.
Jaw-dropping global crash in children being born. That's BBC.
Jaw-dropping? Why wouldn't it go up to, or got nothing else to do?
Well, before all this, we had, people were getting dogs. They weren't making children. Yeah, this is, here's from the BBC. What is going on? The fertility rate, the average number of children a woman gives birth to, is falling. If the number falls below approximately 2.1, then the size of the population starts to fall. In 1950, women were having an average of 4.7 children in their lifetime. Researchers at the University of Washington's Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation showed the global fertility rate nearly halved to 2.4 in 2017, and their study, published in The Lancet, so it's got to be true, projects by 2100, we got a little ways to go, it'll fall below 1.7. So I guess that whatever they're doing, it's working.
Yeah,
this is ultimately what the elites want.
Try to destroy the nuclear family.
Yes.
And you can get pretty far, get rid of these gender bias ideas. Gender roles, bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I got some stuff on that.
Heteronormative has got to go.
I have one thing on masks. You want to just do I see you have two other clips. Anything we want to play from COVID before
Well, this is kind of a rundown summary if you want to play, but do the masks first.
Okay. Masks are now being mandated everywhere in the world, especially countries who follow Tedros, because, you don't get fired for hiring IBM. You don't get fired for following the World Health Organization's guidance. UK, £100 fine. And you know that they really hand them out there. They're not joking around. All over Europe now, as they call them, the mouth caps. They don't call them masks. They call them mondkapjes, mouth caps, are being mandated. And there's still a lot of people who are very confused about the efficacy of masks. And here is Dr. Scott Johnson to explain exactly how inefficient and ineffective. So I traveled to Florida with my neck gaiter from noagendashop.com, which is not a mask. It's accepted as a mask, as a face covering. It's basically like a pantyhose over your face. It's fine. It has our message on it, so that's kind of cool. I have no illusions that it's saving me. We were in Florida, in the hot spot, traveled on the plane down, traveled back. There were 100 people on the flight, so it was not empty. No middle seats. And wasn't crazy going with hand sanitizer and bathing in that stuff. No, nothing at all. Come home. We're not sick. There's no problem. The problem we did have is when transferring in Houston, Tina all of a sudden had to stop. We're walking and she's, hold on a second. She got dizzy from having this damn mask and breathing in her own exhaust.
Yeah, no, this is carbon dioxide poisoning.
Yes, and the first thing I did is, all right, off with this thing now. Let's have a sip of water and let's breathe. Crikey. Yeah, and she has to wear it all day at work, and so this is. I don't think this is a very good thing.
Well, a couple of things. I got some advice.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it turns out, as you saw the picture in the newsletter, that nobody seems to really bitch and moan at you if you pull it down so your nose is exposed.
This is another thing that just gets me. Everyone has their nose hanging out. It's like, okay, that seems to me it looks like you're an idiot. I mean, either wear it or don't wear it. And I saw a baggage handler talking to the check-in lady, and he's like maybe 10 inches away from her with his nose hanging out over the mask. No, it
does. It looks like you're an idiot, but at the same time, maybe you're not an idiot.
Well, I want to do your rundown. Let's get into the politics of this, because there's more interesting things happening. Yeah, I got the politics,
because anytime poor Yamiche, who is she's just not improved as a broadcaster. She mispronounces things, and she's has a pace of it. She sounds like Leave It to Beaver trying to talk. It's just terrible. But let's listen to what's going on, because there's a lot of action because of Trump, and Biden, and Trump wants to do this and that, and And we have the Goya thing, but even that's not mentioned. Let's go COVID PBS Raps Yamiche 1.
The coronavirus crisis rages on. And so does the war of words over a top pandemic scientist. The verbal volleys kept coming today as the United States neared 3.5 million infections and topped 137,000 deaths. White House correspondent Yamiche Alcindor begins our coverage.
Today from the nation's top infectious disease expert, a fresh assessment of the COVID-19 pandemic.
What we need to do is say, we're not going in the right direction now. So we got to call a timeout, do a pause, and say, what do we need to do?
We need to stop with your fake numbers.
But amid the worsening outbreak, Dr. Anthony Fauci also faces a public rift with the White House.
You know, it is a bit bizarre.
Today he spoke out about the White House attacking him over his handling of the pandemic.
No, I cannot figure out in my wildest dreams why they would want to do that. But I mean, I think they realize now that that was not a prudent thing to do because it's only reflecting negatively on them. I can't explain Peter Navarro. He's in a world by himself.
Those comments come after Navarro, President Trump's top trade advisor, lashed out at Fauci in a new USA Today op-ed. He wrote that Fauci, quote, has been wrong about everything I have interacted with him on. He also said he takes Dr. Fauci's advice with, quote, skepticism and caution. Navarro's criticism echoes what the president himself has said about Dr. Fauci. Here he is last week in an interview with Fox News' Sean Hannity.
Dr. Fauci's a nice man, but he's made a lot of mistakes.
But today, White House aides tried to distance the president from Navarro's comments. In a tweet, White House spokesperson Alyssa Farah said the op-ed didn't go through normal White House clearance processes and is the opinion of Peter alone. The president also responded.
Well, that's Peter Navarro, but I have a very good relationship with Dr. Fauci. There's never been a time when two candidates were...
You know, let's just call it what it is. It was a total lash out. It was totally planned. Trump knew this. Navarro, I read the piece. You know, it was scathing, but also honest. The mistake, was about the mask and about not wanting to lock down China. I mean, it's not like it's untrue, but it was clearly an attack to make him look stupid and bad. And then,
well, which we've been doing on the show. For at least 4 months.
I know. It's very annoying. They're just acting like it's exactly the same as it was the first time around when we had to lock down. Only now, and of course we have this in Texas, because who is really stupid here? Who are and it's not Georgia who opened up before everybody else and everyone was going to die. It didn't happen there. I don't know who's running Georgia, but the 3 states that are the idiots, the boneheads, the rednecks, the people who are really ruining it for the rest of the country because they couldn't wait. You couldn't wait. You had to go out too soon. Well, so what are those states again? It's Florida, Texas, and Arizona.
Just over 100 days until Election Day. And this morning, we have a new CBS News battleground tracker out that looks at the presidential race in 3 states heavily impacted by the coronavirus. That's Arizona, Texas, and Florida. The results show former Vice President Joe Biden will be competitive or better in all 3 states. Mr. Biden and President Trump are tied 46-46 in Arizona. President Trump is up 46-45 in Texas, and the former vice president is up by 6 points, 48-42 in Florida.
That's a lie. By the way, you're stepping on my sequence.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Which luckily plays into it.
Okay.
By the way, that's bull crap. There's no way Florida's voted for Joe Biden.
But I just like how coincidentally Joe is just doing so well in the 3 states, the Republican states run by idiots.
Yes, those idiots, those Republican idiots. Let's keep that theme in mind. Anyway, she continues on and she brings us right into the picture, this Yamiche. But she does a switcheroo here that I think needs discussing in this next subclip.
So different. All this as President Trump is behind in many polls and faces fierce criticism over his own response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And yesterday, what was billed as an official White House news conference quickly morphed into a campaign-style event. The president spent 63 minutes, mostly criticizing his November opponent, Joe Biden. He mentioned Biden by name some 30 times. He hit at the former vice president on a range of issues, from China.
Joe Biden and President Obama freely allowed China to pillage our factories, plunder our communities.
To jobs.
America lost nearly 10,000 factories while Joe Biden was vice president. Think of that, 10,000 factories.
Yeah?
All right, the switcheroo is, she said specifically that Trump talked about jobs, and then she in her package, it's about factories.
Mm-hmm.
Now, factories aren't jobs, and Trump doesn't talk about factories because of jobs. He talks about jobs as jobs.
Yeah.
Factories are the industrial base of the United States of America, which makes a huge difference in world affairs. We need manufacturing in this country. It's about manufacturing in this country. It's not about jobs per se.
Yeah, but she's Yamiche.
So Yamiche drops the ball on that one, but she does. This is the kind of thing she does constantly, and I've noticed this is a lot of. There's another one of these things, and I don't know what. It's the she does it again in the next clip, but in a different way, and I will point this out because I thought about this, what she's going to do, because the left media does this constantly. Amy did this very early in the game, and we laughed about it, and You'll hear this clip, and I'll discuss it after the clip.
Back in the Rose Garden, the president also falsely claimed again that COVID-19 infections are going up only because of increased testing.
Think of this. If we didn't do testing, instead of testing over 40 million people, if we did half the testing, we'd have half the cases.
It's true that the U.S. has conducted the most coronavirus tests.
Yeah.
So she starts off with falsely claimed.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought about this for a while because...
Wait, let me just hear it again, because it is very subtle, but it's something that's done a lot. Here we go.
Back in the Rose Garden, the president also falsely claimed again that COVID-19 infections are going up only because of increased testing.
Think of this.
Well, that's actually not what he said, I don't think. And that's... the testing numbers are going up because of I don't think anyone has said the positivity is going up only because of testing. It's kind of splitting hairs, but
no, I don't think it's even splitting hairs. I think this is a worldview issue. Mm-hmm. Play that whole clip again, and I'll tell you what I think.
Okay.
Back in the Rose Garden, the president also falsely claimed again that COVID-19 infections are going up only because of increased testing.
Think of this. If we didn't do testing, instead of testing over 40 million people, if we did half the testing, we'd have half the cases.
It's true that the U.S. has conducted the most coronavirus tests.
Okay.
Okay, so what we have is the left sees it a different way than the right does, or Trump does. Trump says that we test a lot, and in fact, those doctors that were banned from YouTube, those two guys from Bakersfield,
they predicted
this up.
Mm-hmm.
You do a lot of testing, the numbers go up, the deaths go down. It was a three-parter. It was the number. You do a lot of testing, the cases go up, and the deaths go down. That was the thematic thing the guy was saying over and over again.
Yeah.
And so what Trump is saying and what the right tends to say is you test a lot, you're going to get a lot of positive cases. And the left says it's got nothing to do with testing. You're getting more cases because there are more cases. And it's at a worldview level. The way one side sees it as a statistical anomaly where you're going to get a lot of numbers, and it's not cases necessarily. The cases are the cases. Whatever number of people are, if it's always showing up at 10%, probably 10% of the public has it. They have to assume.
I think even more than that.
Maybe not. It doesn't matter. There's a number of people that have it that don't count. They don't count them as people would have it. Of course, there's a lot of fudging on the numbers that we've proven on this show time and time again that half these numbers are bogus. They're double counted. There's all these other problems.
Pool testing, contacts being counted. It's completely
out of control. The numbers are out of control. But the left sees everything as just a huge. They really see this as great pandemic that's going to kill 2 million people to this day. And I think that when she says what she says, which is proven wrong, this crazy notion that the more you test, the more cases there are, is right. Because the more you test, the more cases are. No, there's cases. And the more you test or the less you test, it doesn't matter. There's an X number of cases out there. And I can see their point, but at the same time, they're missing the point.
Well, what was interesting to me yesterday is there was a cover-up that took place, and in your second Yamiche clip, actually, was an example of it. Let me see, where is it? Let me just play that one again. Where is it? Yamiche. Yeah, in the switcheroo. Just listen to what she says here.
So different.
All this is President Trump is behind in many polls and faces fierce criticism over his own response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And yesterday, what was billed as an official White House news conference quickly morphed into a campaign-style event. The president spent 63 minutes mostly criticizing his November opponent, Joe Biden. He mentioned Biden by name some 30 times.
Okay, so she characterizes this Rose Garden speech as a rally to criticize Biden. And this was and of course, you don't really hear the president say anything. She doesn't pull out for a soundbite, maybe a little piece. She's just talking over him the whole time. This was coordinated the way this Rose Garden speech was reported on. And I have two examples from MSNBC again, but CNN was doing the same. And in fact, even Fox News was doing the same. Here's Brian Williams about the speech in the Rose Garden. And this is the top of the show for Brian Williams, the 11th hour.
The president spoke in the Rose Garden today for 53 minutes.
Yeah, you see the similarities in the reporting? She said 63 minutes, 52 minutes.
Without pause or interruption, saying the same things he would normally say to a campaign rally audience. It was billed as a statement about China, and while it briefly contained one, he went on to relitigate the 2016 election and the polls. He went hard after Obama, especially hard after the Bidens, both Joe and his son Hunter, of course. He talked about the Paris Climate Accord, Burisma, Biden's failures in the area of road and bridge construction, Bernie, AOC, ventilators, hospital ships, violence in Chicago, the stock market 3 times, the usual stuff. Oh, and he said Biden would abolish the suburbs and Windows, not the software, but Windows, the kind in buildings. He said, we're feeling good about our country. He said the European Union was formed to take advantage of the United States. He quickly added, other presidents didn't know that. He said, we are coming out of this pandemic on top. On the coronavirus, he said testing is fodder for fake news. Cases are created because of the testing, but nothing new about how to control this virus.
So again, we hear Brian Williams giving a rundown of what is now being categorized as a rambling rally speech in the Rose Garden, and the report, the intro leads into coronavirus and COVID-19 and testing, which is apparently all that it was really about. Well, let's just listen to Nicole Wallace. I typically don't do this, but I just want us to enjoy the entire minute-and-a-half opening of her show yesterday.
Hi, everyone. It's 4 o'clock in the East as Donald Trump seeks to seize control of the facts about the coronavirus pandemic in the United States by redirecting patient records from hospitals away from the CDC, which he's at war with publicly. There are new questions about the president's grasp on the facts after a bizarre and startling performance in the Rose Garden yesterday. On the data seizure, the New York Times reports this, quote, the move has alarmed health experts who fear the data will be politicized or withheld from the public. And on the president's Rose Garden appearance, it was notable for both his personal delivery, which was halting and incomprehensible at times, as well as the very use of the White House Rose Garden for the airing of political attacks and grievances that would barely be considered passable for an inebriated right-wing radio talk host. In the wake of Trump's disclosure last week on Sean Hannity's program that he'd undergone cognitive testing, we start with this passage in the reporting on the press conference by Peter Baker in today's New York Times. Quote, he weighed in on China and the coronavirus and the Paris Climate Change Accord and crumbling highways, period. And then China again, and military spending, and then China again, and then the coronavirus again, period, new sentence, and the economy, and energy taxes, and trade with Europe, and illegal immigration, and his friendship with Mexico's president, and the coronavirus again, and then immigration again, and crime in Chicago, and the death penalty, and back to climate change, and education, and historical statues, and more. Quote, "We could go on for days," he said at one point, and it sounded plausible. The president seems surprised by some of what he's reading from his own notes, talks through a few lines, and then says them again, end quote. The president's loosening grasp on even his own reality comes as the predictions for the toll the pandemic is expected to take on our country go from dire to catastrophic. New modeling from researchers at the University of Washington now predicts that more than 224,000 Americans could lose their lives.
So very similar. PBS, New York Times, of course, both MSNBCs. What they're doing is telling you, you don't have to watch this. Don't watch. This is the rundown. I've never heard them do this like this. Like, to this extreme, and clearly it started in the New York Times, and everyone copies it. You know, that's all Yamiche is doing. So why? Why is it only about... all stories lead into coronavirus? Well, because it was actually about something else yesterday, which the comms, the Chinese-operated media system, do not want you to know about. And let's listen to a little bit of the president in the Rose Garden yesterday. Remember, rambling, attacking, rally speech, horrible. Here's how it started.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
And I kind of what is this about? Who is this announcer?
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with an accent. I'd just like to know, was it like a special deal? Like, it's your time, your turn today? Or, you know,
I have no idea. It's like the sergeant at arms in the Congress. The President of the United States.
Yeah, but this is clearly a heavy South.
Some Russian.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Now remember, this is going to be a campaign speech. It's rambling. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. He's attacking Joe Biden, and it's all about coronavirus.
We've had a big day in the stock market. Things are coming back, and they're coming back very rapidly, a lot sooner than people thought. People are feeling good about our country. People are feeling good about therapeutics and possible vaccines.
Rambling.
But we're going to go over quite a bit, and maybe at the end we'll take some questions if we have time. It's not too hot. Today I signed legislation and an executive order to hold China accountable for its oppressive actions against the people of Hong Kong. The Hong Kong Autonomy Act, which I signed this afternoon, passed unanimously through Congress. This law gives my administration powerful new tools to hold responsible the individuals and the entities involved in extinguishing Hong Kong's freedom. We've all watched what happened. Not a good situation. Their freedom's been taken away, their rights have been taken away, and with it goes Hong Kong, in my opinion, because it will no longer be able to compete with free markets.
Rambling.
A lot of people will be leaving Hong Kong, I suspect. And we're going to do a lot more business because of it, because we just lost one competitor. It's the way it is. We lost a very, very serious competitor that we incentivized to take a lot of business and do well. And we gave them a lot of business by doing what we did. We gave them things that nobody else had the right to do, and that gave them a big edge over other markets. And because of that edge, they've done really historic business, tremendous business, far bigger than anybody would have thought years ago when we did this gift. It was really a gift to freedom.
Now, of course, this was reported here and there, but that's not the message anyone got. All we saw was coronavirus, rambling, attacking Biden. This executive order, there's two of them actually, is a big deal. And you can go and read it. I mean, it's on the whitehouse.gov. This is almost identical to the Iran sanctions, identical in many ways to the Magnitsky Act. So certain persons are not allowed. Assets are seized. You can't transfer any money out of the U.S. to China. This is a huge deal. And it's really big. It is just like the Russia sanctions. And assets are seized. people who have assets that somehow are tied into, I'm not calling him the CCP anymore. It's China. And the Chinese people have a responsibility. You guys got internet. There's a lot of you should overrun that shitty-ass government. So no, all we heard, whatever you do, don't talk about Hong Kong, which is kind of important. Don't talk about that. No, don't talk about what Trump's doing to China. Let's talk about how he sucks at the COVID response. And there's not just one executive order, there's two.
Today, I also signed an executive order ending U.S. preferential treatment for Hong Kong. Hong Kong will now be treated the same as mainland China. No special privileges, no special economic treatment, and no export of sensitive technologies. In addition to that, as you know, we're placing massive tariffs and have placed very large tariffs on China. First time that's ever happened to China. Billions of dollars have been paid to the United States, of which I've given quite a bit to the farmers and ranchers of our country because they were targeted. And that's been going on for 3 years. It's the first time anybody's ever done anything like that. And prior to the plague pouring in from China, they were having the worst years, in 67 years. And I don't want them to have a bad year. I want them to have a good year. But they were taking advantage of the United States for many, many years. And that's stopping.
Yeah, so somehow this rambling speech is actually and I consider it to be a declaration of war against China. Because it's what it is. When you put economic sanctions like this and you cut off the financial hub that is Hong Kong from China, that's war. That is a form of war. We've called it that before with Iran and to some degree with Russia. But no, we're not supposed to know about that at all.
No, this is an excellent analysis of the situation. I'm glad you picked up on the stuff on it. I don't listen to those guys, so I missed this. But I will
painful.
say that this is exactly what's going on, and it did stem from the New York Times, which is highly compromised. The Washington Post is highly compromised, both of them.
Yep.
And that's where they get all their sources from. And I would say that these networks are highly compromised, and they're Chinese compromised. They're working for China.
Yes.
And I want to just put a little aside in here. This went around. I didn't get to check this out to prove it, but it was documented pretty well. And there was enough screenshots. I think they made it right. Is that Nike has these jerseys that they're going to put on the NBA teams, which is really screwing itself, it seems to me. But the jersey you can put your social justice warrior comment can be on the back of your jersey now instead of your name. So say Black Lives Matter or something. So you can have these custom made for yourself. They're $130. And so a guy went in, he was a Chicago Bulls jersey, and he tried to put in, fuck Hong Kong.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
It showed up. Yeah, it came up fine, no problem. But then when he put in free Hong Kong, it gave an error message. You can't put free Hong Kong.
It's great.
This is your Nike NBA China connection. And this kind of thing is going on, and it's just continuing. It's like, I do have some clips from...
I have two more from the Rose Garden.
I'm just going to say, I'm teasing them. I have some clips about the Uyghurs.
Yes. Good.
Which ties in with Nike and all the rest of it. According to this woman who's an activist Uyghur, she's charging our companies with being complicit with the Chinese genocide. But continue.
Well, so this rambling campaign-style speech where the president couldn't even figure out what he's saying himself, and granted, it does turn into an anti-Biden speech, but let's just listen for a second about, and this is all in sequence, the rundown of some of the accomplishments.
No administration has been tougher on China than this administration. We imposed historic tariffs. We stood up to China's intellectual property theft at a level that nobody's ever come close. We confronted untrustworthy Chinese technology and telecom providers. We convinced many countries, and I did this myself for the most part, not to use Huawei because we think it's an unsafe security risk. It's a big security risk. I talked many countries out of using it. If they want to do business with us, they can't use it. Just today, I believe that UK announced that they're not going to be using it. And that was up in the air for a long time, but they've decided. And you look at Italy, you look at many other countries. We withdrew from the Chinese-dominated WHO, and we fully rebuilt the United States military, the WHO, World Health Organization. We were paying close to $500 million a year. China was paying $39 million a year. And China had too much say. They worked it very hard, which is a bad thing done by our past administrations. We've been very tough on the World Trade Organization, and we've been, I guess, as tough as you can get on World Health. We withdrew our money. We told them we're getting out. Doesn't mean that someday we won't go back in. Maybe we will when it's correctly run, but they made a lot of bad predictions, and they said a lot of bad things about what to do and how to do it, and they turned out to be wrong. And they were really a puppet of China. And make no mistake, we hold China fully responsible for concealing the virus and unleashing it upon the world. They could have stopped it. They should have stopped it. Would have been very easy to do at the source when it happened.
So, rambling, obviously. And we have finally a real leftist troll in the troll room who was saying, come on, Adam, play some more Select Orange Man clips to make him sound rational. Well, this is kind of in chronological order. It doesn't sound irrational to me. It sounds like the Chinese-owned media system does not want anyone to know that the president is really going after China, and that these problems we have today, according to the president, are the fault of his possible contender.
In contrast, Joe Biden's entire career has been a gift to the Chinese Communist Party and to the calamity of errors that they've made. They made so many errors, and it's been devastating for the American worker. China has taken out hundreds of billions of dollars a year from our country, and we rebuilt China. I give them all the credit in the world. I don't give the credit for the people that used to stand here, because they allowed this to happen, where hundreds of billions of dollars were taken out of the United States Treasury in order to rebuild China.
So to me, it's very clear who's in with China. And it's all the media organizations. Fox was doing the same thing. Tucker Carlson's on vacation ever since his head writer got out.
Tucker Carlson's on his way out. Fox,
his head writer turned out to be a total racist a-hole.
Damn, there's a lot of total racist a-hole writers.
Well, he was doing very racist shit on websites, and it was pretty bad.
Yeah, maybe it could have been a plant. So, whatever the case, Fox is following your prediction of 10 years ago, which was that they're run by Democrats, and which is not unusual, by the way. We have two talk show operations in the Bay Area. That one's a right-wing operation, one's a left-wing operation. It's just run by the same guys. The Fox clip that I put in the newsletter showing their use of the term lashing out,
our favorite,
aiming at Trump, is to me is code. Mm-hmm. There's these words that nobody. Why you say the guy says something? Says, I don't like what they're doing. He's lashing out. It's like you're not lashing out, and it's democracy now uses lashing out, and Fox uses it now in describing anything Trump does.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, after that, it was a lot of what Biden was not good at and what Trump was good at. But the core, and it was announced as the press conference about the two executive orders against China, which is, and these are not just willy-nilly little things. If you look at them, it's pretty damn big. But that was not meant to be heard. It's really, really, really sad that people aren't being served with the news. And now an ex-VJ has to go and find out what the president said, because you didn't see any clips of the China stuff anywhere except C-SPAN.
Yes, C-SPAN, obviously. They just play things full cloth.
Just as an entremont, there was something very weird that happened over on CNN, and I'm sure it's political, but I'm not quite sure what's behind it. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who, as we know, is the guiding light for all New Yorkers, and they love him. He has shepherded them through this crisis like a true captain would on the ship. He came out with a poster that he is selling. And
what? Say again?
He came out with a poster that I think he made himself or he commissioned himself. And I believe it's, it's certainly online, but it may even be on the cover of New York Magazine now or something. And it's a very, very bizarre depiction of, I guess, his journey through the COVID crisis. And of all stations, of all people, CNN's Jake Tapper took huge issue with this.
New York's Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo seems to be on something of a victory tour, congratulating the state and himself for defeating the virus, even selling this poster, which shows his state getting over the mountain by bringing down the curve during the 111 days of hell, as the governor put it. The poster includes references to his daughters and a boyfriend, little inside jokes. There are no illustrations, however, of the more than 32,000 dead New Yorkers, the highest death toll by far of any state. No rendering on that poster of criticism that Governor Cuomo ignored warnings, no depiction of the study that he could have saved thousands of lives had he and Mayor de Blasio acted sooner, no painting there on the poster of his since rescinded order that nursing homes take all infected patients in. Here's what Governor Cuomo had to say yesterday.
What we went through and what we did was historic. Because we did tame the beast. We did turn the corner. We did plateau that mountain. And then we came down the other side. And they will be talking about what we did for decades to come.
So I'm not quite sure what's going on with this. Why all of a sudden the attack on Cuomo from CNN?
Well, we all know that Cuomo won't fess up to the killing of 10,000. The number is 10,000 in the nursing homes. And I have to assume that Tapper had somebody die in one of those nursing homes.
Ah, yeah. Now, yep. That would make sense. Yes. In fact, I think I saw later a meteorologist. I don't know if she was with CNN. And her husband, both his parents had died in old folks' home, in the nursing home. And, where they couldn't see him, couldn't be there where they died, no funeral, couldn't be. It's just, I don't know if they get a box of ashes sent at home. So, yeah, that could be it. That could be a personal thing. But Cuomo looks really dickish now with this. Maybe short-lived. Who knows? Short-lived.
All right. So let's we could do a little more. I don't have any more COVID stuff. I got the.
No, I did just want to mention one more thing about China.
China
and the 5G. So yes, the UK announced they will stop using Huawei, but they have to take all the gear out. So they'll be done by 2027. Okay, yeah, that sounds like you did a good job. It hit me the other day. We have a replacement. We have our own system, our own, let's just call it 10G. Our own system is being built as we speak, and not a lot of people are talking about it. It is, in fact, Elon Musk's Skynet, which is being built under the guise of, hey, man, you'll get internet anywhere you are. This is, it's not even called Skynet. What is it, Satellite Link? Is that what it's called? Where eventually you'll have something in the order of 20 or 30, maybe even 60,000 satellites. This is a military grid. And it's being paid for by the National Geospatial Agency. NSA has a hand in it. He is building the grid, and it's happening right above everybody's head. It's going to blanket the entire globe. And that's why Trump likes Musk. Oh, yeah, we got to keep him around. He's a good guy. So that is what's going on. It's a total battle for supremacy. I think we have a good shot at being supreme certainly over China with this grid.
Well, we'll see. I don't know what this grid's about.
You should look into it. It's pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, there's still latency issues with anything.
No. It's completely fixed because the satellites communicate optically with each other. So you could actually, it would be less if you do coast to coast on fiber, direct fiber without any issues of right of way. It's the closest, the shortest distance possible, has more latency than coast to coast through Starlink.
I'm not buying this.
Well, that's what they're saying. That's what the measurements are. There's a lot of articles. I put them in the show notes so people can take a look at it. Ars Technica has some good stuff on it. It's meshed. It's very interesting the way they do it.
I understand the mechanism. It's just that there's still a distance issue.
They're really low.
You can't go faster than the speed of light.
That's correct. I think if you look at the calculations, you'll kind of come to agreement. So I was skeptical about the latency as well. They show the data. I haven't tested it. I don't have a station. I'm not in the military. I'm going to take their word for it, that it has very low latency. Otherwise, it would be useless for consumer internet, or just as useless as Hughes satellite. But that's not the main mission. The main mission is to spy on everybody, and it's going to be fantastic, and we'll own it. Yay! Woo! America! There you go, everybody. Take that, China! China's asshole!
All right. You want to hear about the Uyghurs first before we go and do anything else?
Yeah, I've been waiting for you. So
there's NPR. I've been monitoring them mostly. And I have I have 3 clips about the Uyghurs. They're very interesting. It's nothing completely out of control, but I do have a little pronunciation exercise after these 3 clips are over. This is the Uyghurs activist on NPR 1.
The Trump administration has imposed sanctions on 3 senior officials of the Chinese Communist Party over the allegations of treatment of the Uyghurs, a Muslim ethnic minority. The U.S. State Department estimates that at least 1 million Uyghurs have been detained and forced to work in internment camps. And there are allegations that the Uyghur people are being forced to make products for American consumers, including 13 tons of human hair for weaves and wigs seized earlier this month. Joining us now is Rushan Abbas. She's the leader of the group Campaign for the Uyghurs. Welcome to Here and Now.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk about this unprecedented atrocity of the century.
This story is personal for you. Your own sister is missing. Tell us what happened.
I have been very vocal after the concentration camps, and also, according to our numbers, there are around 3 million Uyghurs arbitrarily detained outside the legal system in this fascist concentration camps and now being used as slaves. And then my husband's entire family was missing since spring of 2017. So I talked about this atrocity at the think tank, one of the think tank here in Washington, D.C. But 6 days after my speech, my sister, a retired medical doctor, she was abducted by the Chinese government as a retaliation for my public activism. And I have not heard any news ever since her disappearances on September 2018. But only on June 5th this year, Radio Free Asia confirmed that she is in detention.
Radio Free Asia, you mean part of the American propaganda outfit?
Well, of course, but
okay.
But this is an exhibition of what Christopher Wray was talking about, which is the Chinese are acting like the international death squads, and they pick people up. If you say anything about them, they'll pick up your family and do all these sorts of things. And this is what went on with this woman. She's very much beside herself over the missing sister, which is somehow gone missing, as well as her husband and the rest of the family that was back there.
Mm-hmm.
So she's upset about this. But here's part 2, and she goes on about a little bit about some of the companies involved.
What are the conditions facing Uyghurs in China, and what are you advocating for?
Well, ever since the occupation of East Turkestan under the communist Chinese regime in 1949, they have been persecuting the Uyghurs. And ever since the horrific attacks in the United States in 2001, after the 9/11, the Beijing rebranded its repressive campaign against the Uyghurs as a part of the global war on terror. And they also, the Belt and Road Initiative, that actually put our homeland in the epicenter of this Belt and Road Initiative. So we are trying to let the world know that signing up for the Belt and Road Initiative right now is complicit with the Uyghur genocide. When you look at it, so many companies are being complicit. Recent seizure of 13 tons of human hair in our customs control here in United States. That was produced from slaves in those concentration camps. Those hairs are from Uyghur people. The recent sanction against the Chinese government officials and businesses, that was very essential, and we are very pleased, but it's not enough.
A note on hair. And I don't know if Uyghur hair is special, but my ex-wife's hairdresser was an expert wig maker, and he made wigs for mainly women going through chemotherapy. And so now we're talking 15, 20 years ago. All human hair comes from China, even back then. And I don't know if you have to be I'm not just playing the other side. I don't know if you have to be a slave for your hair to be taken, or you could sell it. I don't know, but you just seem to be pretty fixated on the hair bit.
Yeah, something about it. 15 tons of hair.
Somehow it makes it sound like some kind of human atrocity where they're in stockades just having their hair grow out and snip.
I think they're equating it with concentration camps or something where they.
Oh yeah, sure. Oh yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, made lampshades. Yeah. I'm
teeth
sure
and eyeglasses, piles of eyeglasses.
Yeah, well, they should do that. The hair is not cutting it. They should do they make lampshades out of Uyghur skin. That would get people's attention.
Yeah, with the hair, I agree. Is not cutting it. Ha! So let's play part 3.
A recent study by the Australian Strategic Policy Institute found that Uyghurs are being forced to work in factories that more than 80 global brands like Apple and BMW and The Gap and Huawei and Nike use. How do we begin to make sense of how consumers should think or know about what's happening with the Uyghurs?
Right now, doing any kind of business as usual is complicit with this genocide because almost all of these brand names, they are using the Uyghurs as forced labor. There is a current bill actually being introduced, the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act by Congressman McGovern and Senator Rubio. It will address the direct complicity in the use of slave labor from my homeland. Almost every single brand name if they are coming from China, if their supply chain is using Chinese factories, means they are complicit with this genocide.
Okay.
All right. Well, that was the message. Now, so don't buy Nike.
No.
Now, I was listening to the pronunciation. I have 2 pronunciation clips.
Mm-hmm.
You have to play along here.
Okay.
This is kind of interesting. I believe there's one of these blue dress, gold dress things going on.
Oh, now, okay, good. I like that.
Now, I have the one that says give hit.
Yeah.
Should say 5.
Okay.
Now that's the clip I want you to play. This is her pronunciation of Uyghur 5 times. The 5 times she said it, the woman herself. And it sounds to me like she's saying Uyghur.
That's what I heard in the clip. I heard her say Uyghur.
You're hearing Uyghur.
Uyghur, yeah.
Okay, now play these 5. Play the 5.
Oh, here we go. This is going to be fun. This is going to go viral finally. Exit strategy.
No, it won't.
All right, here's 5 in a row. Here we go.
On Uyghurs with the Uyghur people.
Uyghur. Yeah, I'm hearing Uyghur.
You're hearing Uyghur people, right?
Uyghur people, yeah.
Now play it again. Play it again, just because there's the 5th one is the one I want you to concentrate on.
On Uyghurs with the Uyghur people.
Uyghur people.
Okay, now the 5th one she says Uyghur people. But now I want you to put in your mind that she's going to say Uyghurs.
Okay. And we listen to it again.
Play that. Now this is the ISO of that one clip. This is the Uyghur one hit. This is the 5th of that series played just by itself. Play it.
Uyghur people.
Wow. Oh, that's a good trick. Hold on, that's cool. Let's just play it.
Now, wait. I'll get you the last exercise. Play that same exact clip 3 or 4 times in a row and say to yourself before she says it, if she's saying Uyghur or Uyghur, and your brain can make you hear either one.
Uyghur people. Uyghur people. Uyghur people. Uyghur people.
Let me do the sequence again.
Uyghurs with the Uyghur people.
Wow, that is interesting.
Yes, it's very interesting. So she sounds like she's saying Uyghur and Uyghur, and it's like we. So that's I can't now. After listening to this exercise, especially that last one, she says it the last time. I would like to talk to a Uyghur and ask them to
what it is.
Make me pronounce it correctly, because I don't think it's not even possible.
Wow. It's certainly more interesting than the hair.
Well, the hair, yeah. Okay. You can harp on
the hair thing. Well, sticking with religion in China, and I've been doing a lot of research and learning, honestly, and we have a lot of producers who've been very helpful about the Vatican and the Pope and the Catholic Church and China's connection to that. And all of these somewhat extremely religious, or apparently coming across as very religious people in the highest echelons of the coronavirus response, being the head of the NIH, which is Francis Collins. He is, in fact, on the Vatican's permanent lifetime board for all things medical. Fauci, Jesuit. Alex Azar, I wrote that down, but he has a very, very uncommon version. Almost, it's all in the show notes. Anyway, it's not that important, but there's a lot of strictly religious or seemingly religious people in the CDC and NIH who also coalesce around the Vatican. And the more I look into the renunciation of Pope Benedict, who is now 93, and he might actually kind of be in some form of house arrest. He visited his brother in Germany late last year, and was kind of sent back unceremoniously quite quickly, and now he's blocked down again. We don't really see much of him. The current Pope, Francis, has allowed the Chinese Communist Party to determine who the cardinals are in China for a different version of the Catholic Church. I think they call it the CPA. So these are the approved cardinals, while, as we know, there are hundreds of thousands, not millions of Catholics and Christians who are holding Mass underground in secret because what is happening there is not allowed by the Chinese Communist Party. Apparently, a new curia has been signed, and that is kind of like the way I understand it, the Constitution of the Vatican. So there will be differences in how the Vatican operates. There should be about 10 to 12 cardinals who are on the chopping block who will be dismissed. New ones are coming in, and there's a lot of worry about what Pope Francis is doing, and specifically how he seems to be kowtowing to China once again. He had the whole piece about Hong Kong taken out of his recent speech. He just didn't even mention. Of course, they published it to everybody before taking it out, but he didn't mention it. So he's a part of this system somehow, and it seems to not like America very much. And coming from Brazil, I got to think there may have been a lot of...
not Brazil.
I'm sorry, Buenos Aires. It's from Buenos Aires? Argentina. There's a lot of Chinese Belt and Road stuff going on there. So how much influence was there? And is this ultimately for China? If we just look at what they've done, look at what they had set up, man. They're in our educational system, in our entertainment, in our sports, in our news, all over the medical field, pharmaceutical. Everything is produced from there. You got to think that there was an all-out assault on the West, including changing Catholicism or the rules, or influencing the leader of an entire religion, which is really comes down to changing the values of Western civilization. the Christian Judeo values. I think there was, and it probably is still, quite an assault on the West by China. And maybe just this coincidental Wuhan virus, maybe it was always intended to happen. Maybe it would have been much better if Hillary were president. And then everyone would have played along and done what we were supposed to do. And God knows where we'd be. But I have...
You'd be speaking Mandarin.
We'll be saying Uyghur. Uyghur. So this is an assault, and it is important. And just to see that the news media is refusing to even really report on the countermeasures that we're taking, or in fact, China's counter to our countermeasures, who say, let me see, I have a headline here. China vows to retaliate. We should be waiting for some retaliation, because I believe they're going to be true to their word. And also, they have a total lock on your masks and your PPE and still, for a lot of the world, ventilators. These are bad actors. Bad actors.
New York Times.
New York Times, Washington Post. It's all corrupt. Every single institution that we rely on, right down the technology. Especially technology, especially Silicon Valley. There's Chinese investment in Reddit, a huge amount, actually. The Twitter. I'm not sure about Facebook, but no doubt. So when the president comes out and says, hey, I'm putting an end to this, and here's why, and everyone says, look over here at the tests, something is up, and it's probably bigger than we realize.
Well, they're definitely doing a fascinating job of corrupting the West.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I have more examples in the next part of the show.
Well,
not as good as examples as I'd like.
Well, I'll get to that with you after one quick piece of covered up news, which I would think is kind of important. And I'm not surprised this also was not reported on. This was the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, also yesterday.
Today, the Department of State is updating the public guidance for CATS authorities to include Nord Stream 2 and the second line of Turk Stream 2. This action puts investments or other activities that are related to these Russian energy export pipelines at risk of U.S. sanctions. It's a clear warning to companies aiding and abetting Russia's malign influence projects will not be tolerated. Get out now or risk the consequences. Let me be clear. These aren't commercial projects. They are Kremlin's key tools to exploit and expand European dependence on Russian energy supplies. Tools that undermine Ukraine by cutting off gas transiting that critical democracy, a tool that ultimately undermines transatlantic security. The United States is always ready to help our European friends meet their energy needs. Today I have with me Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of Energy Resources, Frank Fannin, who will take questions here when I'm complete with respect to this action.
Once again, Trump helping out his buddy Putin. Don't you just get sick of it, John? It just makes me sick. Who's pulling the strings? What does Putin have on him that he can do this?
You know, the funny thing about it, the problem, you're right, this got zero coverage because it doesn't fit in any narratives that we need to promote. And especially, we need to continue to promote. And this was done in an article I just saw where they're condemning Russia for... the narrative is to condemn Russia for being tight with the United States and corrupting our elections.
This is the Nord Stream 2, and of course we followed this with our pipeline precision team. Nord Stream 2 is shipping natural gas. As a troll asked, why does America have to police all the oil? Okay, idiot. This is a fight for our natural gas versus Russia's natural gas. The customer is Europe. That's why Ukraine was so important, because Ukraine was the pass-through until, someone got hold of this scam that was going on, which included a lot of U.S. politicians. And so that kind of got chopped back, and the Nord Stream 2 puts it directly into Germany, bypassing every other route. And the same goes for the Turk Stream. The Turks, who are definitely not in order these days. The interesting, going back to the The church they converted into a mosque, and now they're threatening to kill the Armenians, and this so these are bad actors too.
Yeah, it is. It's this is basically a capitalistic battle.
Yes.
We have our gas, and we don't, you're going to buy the Russian gas? We're not going to do business with you. You have to buy our gas.
Yeah, with that.
So we're
of course
tough guys too. I mean, everybody's
we're gas guys. Everyone's fighting for that. So what we say is, hey, if you're in that, we're about to put sanctions on it. Just so you know, we're giving you fair warning. The Netherlands is one of the founders of Nord Stream 2, so that should be very interesting how that plays out politically.
Oh, there'll be some quid pro quos, and everything will be fine.
And with that, I would like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in the Chinese Uyghur wigs, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning, all ships and sea boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to the trolls in the troll room, noagendastream.com is where anybody is welcome to come in, troll. We've had quite a number of interesting ones. People are at their wits' end. I'm so good at reading the troll room, how people feel, and they're very frustrated at this point. Let me see how many of them we have. 1526, it's a little above average for a Thursday. Just a tad. I'm very happy to have you here.
What's the number?
1,526. So, Sundays are higher. Sunday is closer to 18, and Thursday is usually a little under 15, so we're doing good. Of course, it's
we're doing well.
No, we're doing good, man. We're doing good. Trolls. It's very interesting there today. That's noagendastream.com, where you can log in 24/7. You literally listen to the stream at the same time and troll back and forth. And if the stream is live with a live host or hosts, that makes it even more fun if they are reading while you troll. While you're there, you can also ask Doug for an invite to noagendasocial.com. It is our federated social network with very high signal-to-noise ratio. And you can find that at noagendasocial.com. And I'd like to thank our artist for episode 1259. We titled that one, Do the Work. Do the work. You got to do the work. I've been doing the work. Have you been doing the work, John? Well,
have you been doing the work?
I've been doing some of the work, but you really need to do the work.
Some of the work.
Jordan 33 brought us artwork, which turned out to be spectacular when viewed in context on a web page. This was the massive microphone, no agenda mic cube on it with Joe Biden sniffing it up. And I don't think we had any argument. We were both like, yeah, that's the one. We'll take it. And this is the same artist who did the Orange Man Bad on the Cheeto background that everyone liked so much. So this is I would say this is a good find. This new artist.
A nice piece. I use Prevent All Privilege by Darren O'Neill for the newsletter.
That was good. There were other pieces, lots of other. But the problem, of course, we really try to separate the opening clip, the title, from the artwork. A lot of artists jumped on the do the work stuff, so that kind of fell by the wayside. I remember us determining early on that was going to be the title, and just too bad for the art, I think.
And upcoming art, I want to mention a few things just for clarification, because you can't state your rules enough times.
Yeah.
If you use, and I'm aiming this at criticism at Sir Ned, I made a edict that if you use the coronavirus model as any part of the artwork, it gets rejected automatically. I find it to be a very creepy image.
It's also not really what it is. It's not a real...
And it's not what it is, but it's a creepy image. I don't like it. And if you want to use it, you can use it, but you're not going to get picked. So just a note.
There you go. Any other rules for today?
No, that's the only one I'm seeing. It's a violation.
Well, the other violation is using our images.
Oh, yeah, you can't use our images. That's a violation because it was the first 2 or 3 years of the show, all the art was our images. And then one day I think, jointly decided that that's now automatic rejection because it's not creative at all.
And we really don't look like that anymore either. That was when we were young and spry.
Yes, we never looked like that.
That's possibly true. All right. Who do we thank as our executive and associate executive producers for 1260?
Or a few people think. I think there's one or two missing, and I want people, if you don't get mentioned, let me know. We'll do a make good. Peter Bickford in Chehalis, Washington. $1,000.
Whoa,
that's nice.
Instant-Nite.
He is an Instant-Nite. He's a JRE immigrant.
Oh, hello.
Grown to count on your bi-weekly infotainment to keep me from losing my mind during the Red Guard propaganda onslaught. Well, there's plenty more coming.
Yeah.
Keep it up. We need your insight more than ever. I'd like to be known as Sir Steiner, the expat from Spokanistan. Please de-douche me.
Oh, hold on a second. I didn't get the de-doucher out this morning. Let me polish it. Okay. There we go.
You've been de-douched.
And he wants stereo goat Carmen for the roundtable. He likes some apple skivers and aquavit.
Huh. What's apple skivers?
I don't know.
You've got karma.
There you go. Well, welcome, and we will see you at the roundtable. Note about some of the JRE converts. I made a mistake on the last show, and I published the podcast feed, totally my mistake, with the same date and time as the previous episode, which meant that for a lot of people, it showed up in a weird spot. I corrected that within about 15 minutes. And having been a part of the podcast development, the spec means the next time your podcast refreshes that feed, it's told by the actual agreement and how we do these things to change that and put the date properly and place it wherever you want. The only, as far as I know, the only system that had problems and never showed our episode was the Spotify app. And I want people to understand, we don't upload anything to Spotify. I have no agreement with Spotify. I never said they can do that on Spotify. There's no handoff on Spotify. They are a broken podcast app, and I suggest you get a better one if you want to listen to podcasts, because sometimes people screw stuff up, and it should automatically fix itself as intended for 19 years.
Are you telling me that Spotify, with all the money they have, and all the acquisition money they have, and all the money they have for development, can't develop the podcast app correctly and follow the rules that are clearly defined?
Well, they haven't. I don't know if they can't. I think they probably are capable, but they're more interested in signing Michelle Obama as their new Joe Rogan, which just took place.
Yeah, she'll pack them in. All right.
So to speak.
Addison Todd's next on the list in Chesterfield, Missouri, 33369. ITM, Adam and John, another producership from Addison, owner of ebles.com and esteemed producer of the best podcast in the universe. According to the Mueller report, this is a very special donation for 3 reasons that I'll briefly explain.
Okay.
1, a huge thank you to all the knights, dames, and douchebags that use the discount code NOAGENDA on ebles.com, EABLES.
And what is on Ebles? What do they have there?
Go check it out. I have no idea.
I will.
They save 33% on every order, and I'm able to keep the exit strategy as far away as possible, for which everyone is grateful. 2, I had no idea I was getting ready to do this donation, that I would be pennies away from knighthood. Hence the 69 cents to even it out, if you know what I mean. I guess this makes me Sir Addison, CEO of Shitposts.
Okay.
Brother. Counting at the end. 3, my mom got the biggest kick out of John's impression of her when I mentioned her in the last donation. So this donation also serves to mark her birthday on July 14th. Happy birthday, Vicky. I love you. Thank you for your courage, and sorry for the long note. Douchebags. Oh, we got a douchebag call out for Matt. Douchebag. And I guess he's the suburban wizard.
And then it says, my mom.
Maybe there's 2 of them here. I guess it's got to be Matt and the suburban wizard.
But it also says my mom.
And it also says his mom. Well, okay, hold on. 2 more douchebags.
His suburban wizard. Douchebag. You're such a nice son. Such a nice boy.
Jingles, boogity boogity. Biden give you the whole load. That's true. May 23rd, 2020 donation, no agenda show, and he's got some accounting here, and the rest of it is history.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Amen. I'm going to give you the whole load today.
You've got karma.
All right. Thank you very much.
Trevor Massey from Arvada, Colorado comes up with $333.33, and he says, please de-douche me.
You got it.
You've been de-douched.
Another Roganite.
Yeah.
I hit my wife in the mouth, and she ended up donating before me.
Uh-oh.
So here's a fraction of the value you guys have added to my life. She donated a while back and referenced the bat quarter, and there was some confusion. So to clear it up, the U.S. Mint has minted a 2020 quarter with a bat.
You know,
also,
okay, stop. This is not true. It's just not true. It's fake. It's been going around the internet for a couple of weeks. It's a national park coin that has been shopped to make it look like a quarter. There's no bat quarter coming out.
Thank you very much for that clarification.
Yes.
And I'm now disappointed that he would believe this. I never heard this one way or the other. And what's with the deal with the coin shortage?
Yeah,
no,
that's real. No, that's real.
Yeah, it is real. But what's the deal is what he's asking. The lady just got back from Vegas on business. She said it was sad and weird. Only a few MGM casinos and hotels were open. And pit bosses were walking around enforcing social distancing and making sure no one's nose was sticking out of their mask. Oh, well, there's that. Thank you, Nose Patrol. The Nose Patrol is on the job. Get your nose in that mask. Thanks for the deconstruction and humor. Please call out my partner, Chilo, as a douchebag.
You got... Oh, what happened? I don't know. Sometimes it just doesn't want to douchebag people. Douchebag. There we go. You got it now.
He's got a mind of its own.
It does.
Send us some more jobs, Karma, for remodeling and construction business. Dealer's choice at 3 jingles. All the best, gentlemen, and thanks again.
Well, let me see. 3 jingles. Well, let's do some classics.
Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Just take your medicine. Just take your medicine.
To the gate, to the gate, to the climate gate.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Classics.
Now we have Dave, the Duke of America's Heartland and the Arabian Peninsula, stuck there in Saudi Arabia. $333.
Let me read this. Let me read what he's saying here. We're friends of the family. Please cue up Nancy Jobs, Karma, Reverend Manning, long-legged Mac Daddy. Yeah, and what else did he want there? Bingo Boom Shakalaka remix. Well, I'll see what I can find for you. So this is Dave, or Sir Dave, Duke of America's Heartland, the Arabian Peninsula. So, within a day of my plea for karma on the last show, our company sent everyone a pink slip, giving us notice that in 60 days, that will be September 11th, we will all be terminated. Pretty sure that's just the employment part, but not something like a beheading. But the news was somewhat jarring nonetheless. Official reason is COVID, but as part of the all-powerful military-industrial complex, ultimately, we get most of our funding from the U.S. government, and it sounds like the current 6-month funding wasn't yet secured before the 6 months began. This has happened in the past, so most of the old-timers aren't too concerned, and personally, I'm optimistic that funding will get sorted out and will still be here on September 12th. Frankly, we all have doubts that the organization can actually accomplish a mass sacking and get everyone out of here in less than 2 months anyway. May I request a jobs karma, please? You got it. It'd be nice to get back to see my dames a bit earlier, which has now been over 6 months. In fact, Dame Melody said it's been 6 months, I think now 7 days and 32 hours. But I still like steady work to be able to put food on the table. The good thing is that since we've had no occasion to use paid time off, if this job ends, I'll cash in enough to buy one of those industrial-sized jars of peanut butter from Costco. That should keep us alive until I land a new gig. Finally, John, you nearly caused a family tragedy when your comment, Mommy, who's that strange man? had Dame Melody and Dame Isabella laughing so much they almost crashed into an overpass on I-35 while driving back from Oklahoma last weekend, where, incidentally, Dame Isabella cleaned up with a couple of first-place trophies and a veritable mess of medals. She's in the Irish River Dance competition. Super proud of that incredible young lady. How about a Reverend Manning's long-legged Mac Daddy and a bingo boom shakalaka mix? If you can dig it up, I can't help but smile when I hear samples of his wise teaching and inspirational instruction. Thank you for your courage, Sir Dave, Duke of America's Heartland and the Arabian Peninsula. And we certainly look forward to this reunification. And he's been locked down there for over 6 months. And yeah, military family, but still, you're not expecting that. And it's and what'll happen? No, anyway, I don't want to think about what's happening. It's
not the greatest place to be stuck.
Probably not. So we are thinking of you.
They have good chicken, though.
The long leg Mac Daddy. Bingo, boom, boom, chakalaka, boom, 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 chakalaka.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
Chicken.
You got good chicken.
Good chicken.
The thing is, I probably need that chicken recipe from that El Fayad, whatever the name of that joint is. I can't stand eating chicken anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I'm not a fan of
what I do. Even though I use, one of the things you can use, I'm going to talk about this after the break, Goya seasoning. I mentioned it at the opening.
I made No Agenda chicken maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I did, how can you mess it up, right? It's like throw the shit in, throw the chicken on top.
Pretty hard, yeah.
And we didn't need it. We just kind of put us off chicken for a bit. Maybe there's something up with the chicken.
I think it must be the chicken itself.
Yeah. Interesting. All right.
I'll try some of these seasonings. Benjamin Nidus in San Francisco, California, 33333. Sunday show was too good.
Oh.
Can't handle it. Must donate. Refer to email sent 8 minutes ago to both of you. Well, jingles. Dr. Kiki, it's science. Shut up, slave, and chemtrails. I'll give him a karma on that.
Do we need to check for his email or?
Well, I can check and see if there's
Why
anything
don't you check?
there.
Well, I can throw this little sequence out.
Shut up already. It's science.
Shut up, slave.
Chemtrails.
You've got karma.
Anything?
I just got to the email. You got to get there. Then I got to go find the. Get to the search box. And here we go. He sent a lot of mail in. He's been sending.
He's a mailer.
Notes.
He's a mailer.
He's a mailer. He wrote a thing. Here's July 13th. This must be it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. No, he sent this is a clip that he wanted us to check out. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for the email. Yes, I did check out your clip of Steve Gibson. That's fine. Next.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at some of the stuff in the email. All right, onward with Steve Beebe.
Basically, he sends a shitty clip of Leo Laporte, and we're just going to ignore it because it's not our style.
Steve Beebe, 33333. I thought he sent a clip of Bill Gates. My best friend hit me in the mouth way back in 2015, and this donation ends my 5-year run as a douchebag.
Nice.
No Agenda has kept my amygdala small and ended TDS before it even started. Love and light. NJ, I want some goat karma.
You got it, Steve BB. Oop.
You've got karma.
John Shadows in Austin, Texas, one of your fellow Texans, 305. And he says, short comment for show, blank.
Thank you. Perfect. Love that. That's the Austin way.
You've got karma.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Steve Sprague in Kennewick, Washington, 250. I need a de-douching?
Uh-huh.
You've been de-douched.
This is unusual. He learned about the show from some article listing the 10 best podcasts sometime last year.
What? Now, we are rarely ever listed in a 10 best or a listicle. We're not NPR-y enough.
Yeah, most of his 10 different NPR shows or podcasts repurposed.
Speaking of which, and I know you're on the NPR beat, report came out, the NPR radio listenership down over 25% because people are not in the car. So they're...
Oh, that's very interesting. That would make sense.
And so people are listening to podcasts which are not monetized in the same way. In fact, they're really going to come up short because it's shifted, and they really don't have the mechanism to make money with their underwriting the way they do on the podcast. I mean, it's just a fraction. It's probably almost a giveaway for some of this stuff. But that's not great for NPR. For the radio. Sense. I mean, they need to just trim it all down, close down the transmitters. Wait a minute,
this is public-supported broadcasting. Why do they care about ratings?
Yeah, right. Okay. I got some ads to tell you. Doesn't make sense. No.
Anyway, he continues and says, I checked them all out, and No Agenda is the only one worth listening to. Hello? Can I get health karma for my pop? He's got a few medical challenges, including cancer. Cancer.
Yes.
Thanks for breaking it down.
You got it, man.
You've got karma.
Aha. We needed the jingle.
Who is it?
Grand Duke Melanson of the Pacific Northwest.
Holy crap. Why was this not sent to me by the back office? And when you're trying to look for it, all you get is Melania Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present the Grand Duke of the Pacific Northwest, Sir Dwayne Melanson.
Woo! Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the Grand Duke of the Pacific Northwest.
23456. ITM from the Grand Duke of the Pacific Northwest. I just ordered some gator masks from the No Agenda shop. Hearing aid, friendly, and a fine product. I got a text from Biden to chip in, so I figured I'd chip in here instead, where my money actually matters.
That is such a good point. With my hearing aids and my glasses, when you hang a mask off your ears, now you got three things that are all intertwining, and it's a hassle. So the gator, you just pull it right up over your nose, and you're good to go. You advertise the show. And I've noticed other gator people, we give each other a little nod in the airport.
Like a bunch of Corvette owners.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly right. And it's all kinds of people. There's black guys, there's like rednecky guys. There's all kinds of. I haven't seen any Asians. But
I like this. I'm going to get one now just for that reason.
It's like Corvette owners. Some have an American flag. That's not the ultimate. I've got the No Agenda show, which says No Agenda. And I get a lot of comments like, that's great, man. You have no agenda. I said, that's right. That's me in a nutshell. I got no agenda. And then, you just kind of walk through the airport and like, yeah, man, what's up? Yep. Yeah, we're the Gator gang. Uh-huh.
Huh.
Yeah. You should have a couple of bank. The only problem with the gator is you really need to have more than one of them, because after a day of traveling, the gator pretty much smells like ass crack on the inside. It's not really meant for prolonged breathing into with whatever airport food you've been eating. It's nasty.
Well, maybe you should leave the nose out. Onward with Colin O. in Fort Lee, New Jersey. $200. Your old stomping grounds.
Kinda.
Fort Lee, NJ Mo Karma, fat bitch, and life relocation karma for myself. Make good, kind of thanks. And thank you for checking my producer privilege. I was deep into the electric lettuce when I planned out my last jingle sequence, and I got a good giggle from it. Maybe if I was employed, I'd have less time on my hands.
I think this is Colin, who we called out on his producer privilege on the last show, where he sent us 18 clips to play and the whole War and Peace bit. And
this time he's asked for nothing.
Well, I'm going to give him a goat karma because he asked for nothing.
You've got karma.
You can take this last one.
All right. This is Dave from Columbus, Ohio. Oops, I can't say Columbus anymore, he says. Indigenous People Finder, Ohio. Our mayor actually had his statue removed a few weeks back. The city official are all Dems. Didn't even have a repub run for mayor in the primaries. Mayor has taken over the police department as well. It's going to get interesting. Keep an eye on IPF Ohio in the coming weeks and months leading up to the election. We shall. Thank you both of you for your shows, as you provide great humor and real info, news that is not found anywhere else. Well, it is, but it's never highlighted. This is my second donation to your show, the first one over $50, so please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
I've been listening since February this year after watching the movie Shrek thousands of times with my kids over the years. I think the movie provides character parallel for us today. With our new doctor of the U.S., Dr. Fauci, I think we need to give him a new name, Lord Fauchquad. I guess I haven't seen Shrek. Men of his stature are in short supply. That's like a Bob Saget gag almost. Men of Fauci's stature are in short supply. There are those who think little of him. God, this is really bad. Why does the tall guy have to read this note? That's not fair. As it looks like we in the U.S. are being pushed to the brink by many in power in the U.S., I think it's important that those of us, No Agenda Show listeners, who have small amygdala need to band together. So to bring support to keep No Agenda Show flowing and help those in need, I want to make an offer to all your listeners and for you and John as well. I work in the energy supply business. We electric and natural gas. And any listeners who contact me, Dave at wec.energy, and we gain their energy supply businesses only, not homes, we will return 20% of our revenue from that business for the term of the contract, with 10% going to the No Agenda Show. Well, is this green? Is this green? What kind of energy is this? Are we getting green energy finally? Green dollars?
What's going on? Well, we'll find. People check it out and find out.
No Agenda Show.
This could be a bonanza.
Okay, this is our exit strategy: selling energy. Who would have thought? With 10% going to No Agenda Show monthly, helping those douchebags get de-douched or help night more listeners, and 10% going to charity monthly, charities that serve homeless veterans, expecting moms in need and kids. Oh, okay, now you've got me. We already do this with many of our clients and actively work with charities to provide monthly revenue back to them so they can keep doing the great work they do. Thanks for all your efforts. Your show is the only time I find comedy these days. Thank you. Which really makes me laugh. Keep up the good work. When I get to knighthood, I will take the name of sirloin of beef or cirrhosis of the liver. I think we already have one of those. Assuming both are not taken by then, please play Joe Biden, Obama, You May Die. That's true. Oh, my goodness. Bo Jiden. Hold on. I mean, did you just read these to me? Bo Jiden.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't have those. You Might Die. And what else does he have there? You May Die. That's true. And an F cancer. Okay, I got it. We're good.
Don't eat me, Bo Jiden. You're scary. So scary.
You might die.
That's true. Job.
Oh, shit. There we go.
You've got karma.
Oh, and also, wait a minute.
He wanted the Pelosi Trump on the end there. Sorry.
Pelosi Trump. We'll do that again.
Jobs.
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 All right, there we go. Now we got
We need some reporting on this particular jingle.
Yeah, if it works or not.
If anybody's had a reaction to the Pelosi jobs, the Pelosi Trump combo jobs, that particular one.
Yes.
We'd like to know if it works because it's experimental. It's X model.
Experiment. It's not yet certified by the Federal Jingle Commission, so we will let you know.
The Jingle Commission has not given it the thumbs up.
These are our executive producers and associate executive producers for episode 1260 of the best podcast in the universe, which I explained quite clearly on the Tom Woods Show, which I believe that episode drops today.
Why are they dropping it? I thought the guy was done at like 1,800 episodes, and now you're telling me that the thing's being dropped?
I'm talking in the hip parlance of Diddy and the Boys. That was actually quite interesting. I know Tom Woods from years and years and years ago. I think we had a Twitter thing, and I was like, hey, he's like, how do I get the podcast started? I'm sure I sent him some pointer or something.
Well, he does it daily, so he's up to 1,800 shows.
Oh yeah, no, he's and they're all about a half hour. Although he almost went an hour with me, and he wanted to know the genesis of podcasting. He wanted to know about No Agenda, how it came about, which I think I was able to articulate.
Come close, you're close enough.
And he wanted to know about the value for value model.
Of course, because he needs that model.
And then I'm gonna spoil this for people, but he asked me about cancel culture and what I thought about it. John, you would have been so proud of me. You
nailed it.
I did a 7-minute Shaggy Dog about underinformed, over-socialized, and how I'd read about this 10 years ago in some paper that was given to me by a Harvard professor. And I was going, I'm doing the whole thing. He's like, yes, I agree so much. And I said, yeah, and that paper was written by Professor Theodore Kaczynski, also known as the Unabomber. I thought he was going to fall over. I was so proud of myself.
Wow. I would have seen that one a mile away.
Yeah,
that was good.
You're used to it. Anyway.
Well, maybe. Well, he does a good show. It's kind of to me, it's not a produced show. It's an interview show.
He just talks to somebody for half an hour.
Straight up interview show. Yeah. It's as good as any of them. He's a good interviewer.
Yeah.
And he lets the guys talk. I think it's one of the hardest things to do because it's not a matter of being a good interview. It's a matter of getting good guests.
Yes, exactly. He has a booker. He has a booker. That's what makes it work. He has a booker. But I really appreciate it. And there's a big overlap. This is one of those tribe Venn diagrams. There's a lot of people who listen to No Agenda, who also listen to him, may also listen to Joe Rogan. So it's kind of overlapping. It was really nice to see. And what was interesting, because he does take donations, he said that people who donate have special access to his private Facebook group, which he said completely as a surprise to him. He said this is one of the things that people like the most. And I said, well, yeah, as it turns out, now we don't charge people for No Agenda Social, but it's true. It's true. People like to have their own little space where they can just chat about the show or with other producers, very much like a virtual meetup. So there was some interesting things to compare the models with. Anyway, Tom Woods Show. These people here on the No Agenda Show, they are executive producers and associate executive producers, and we thank them profusely for helping produce this episode. The credits are real, and you can use them anywhere credits are recognized for professional reasons. That means you might want to slip it into your LinkedIn profile. And I look forward to thanking the rest of our producers for this episode coming up later on in the show. And as always, we'll be here again on Sunday, the second Thursday of the week. Please go to our brand new website, noagendashow.com, or directly to our donation page at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Now, you definitely know if it's Uyghur or Uyghur or whatever. You learned it.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
As a tip, by the way, something I forgot to mention. If you're wondering if we're going to go into lockdowns, the Gates Foundation just doubled its investment holdings in Walmart. Just something you might want to think about.
Wait, hold on a second. Let me stop you right there. Why is the Gates Foundation a charitable fund but they're supposed to be giving money away, investing in Walmart?
I will give you the answer since you always seem to be baffled by this. Large nonprofits who really only shuffle money around can either put their money in a bank account and get 0.01 interest, or they can invest it. It's all reported in their Form 990. They are, in fact, money-making entities, and everybody makes out like bandits because, well, primarily you get to fly around the world on the Gulfstream 5 for free because that's all paid for by the charity, and the charity continues to make money. This is a very common thing. If anything, we need nonprofit reform in the United States of America. That's for sure. And I'm not talking about the big nonprofit like the Gates Foundation. I'm talking about all little pieces of shit that Soros is now giving $220 million to for Black Lives Matter, which is, these are very, very small two-person organizations. And really what he's doing is handing out more bail money the way I see it. Go ahead, kids. Go ahead. We got the bail money on the way. There are several hundred people who have been arrested and face some serious charges.
Who?
People, protesters. There are hundreds who have and statue puller downers. There are hundreds in jail right now.
Well, good. Well, come to get any publicity.
Well, that would be wrong because these were peaceful protests. We can't have news stories about that. Peaceful.
Okay. I have a little side thing I want to do.
Side hustle?
I want to talk about kids' podcasts.
Okay. You have
now,
my
this
interest.
started because one of our producers, David and Leela, they have it was mentioned in the last show that Leela has this Fun Facts podcast with her dad, David.
Oh, yeah. You did mention that.
Yeah, and so it triggered me to go, well, let me go listen to some kids' podcasts if these are any good. I do want to give them a little plug, though, for Fun Facts, the Fun Facts podcast. It's called Fun Fact Friday with Leela and David. And this, I do have 2 clips from the show just to show you what kind of listeners we have. Now, I will say the dad, David, probably is promoting the NPR style of podcasting a little bit too much.
Wait, he's talking to his kid like an NPR. Hello, this is your
Layla. What are you doing? Yeah, no, we do know that.
This is your dad talk.
Maybe you should be.
Yes, and this is your. Yeah, you should do your chores.
So let's play Fun Facts 1, so we can get a feeling for this podcast. We give ourselves credit for helping develop these spin-offs.
So before we start, what is your favorite toy? That's a toy and not like, your Nintendo Switch, which I guess it counts as a toy because you play with it and all that, but an actual toy.
So not like a guitar?
No, guitar is a musical instrument.
Okay. My favorite toy, I don't really have a favorite toy. I don't really play with toys.
Yeah, Dad.
Very often.
Toys.
I do like crafty stuff.
You play with Lego.
I do play with Lego.
Mm-hmm. And you play with the Rubik's Cube.
Yes, Rubik's Cube is my favorite toy.
Wow.
There you go. Leela has gotten down where she can consistently solve a Rubik's Cube in, what are you at, around 3 minutes?
Around 2 or 3.
Between 2 and 3 minutes. That's pretty good. She's been learning all the tricks of the trade on the Rubik's Cube.
Is this Toy Talk? Hi, everybody. Welcome to Toy Talk.
Leela's 10, and I admire her. She's
for the Rubik's Cube is fantastic, obviously.
Smart little kid, smart 10-year-old.
But that's a puzzle. That's a puzzle. Is a puzzle a toy? I guess it could be.
I guess. Maybe she throws it, but whatever the case. Yeah, this is Fun Facts, too. This is the same. She actually just gives us, this is actual information, and I thought it was valuable enough to put it on our show.
So do you have any Rubik's Cube facts for us?
Yes, I do. Let me get to them. The standard Rubik's Cube is 3x3, but it can be made in other variations such as 2x2, 4x4, and so on. As of 2016, the largest was a 22x22. Do you think you could solve that, Dad?
I absolutely could. It would just take a while.
How long do you think it would take to scramble it?
A while. That's a lot of possible combinations.
Speaking of possible combinations, the Rubik's Cube has about 49 quintillion combination. A 3x3 Rubik's Cube.
Just a 3x3 has.
Just a 3x3.
And no matter how I scramble it, you can solve it.
Yep.
Wow. 10.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a podcast.
That's nice
wants to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, so I started looking around. So I'm listening to these different podcasts, and there's one WBUR has a thing called a Circle Around, and I want to play a couple of clips from these things and listen to the WBUR is the biggest. People always think of WQHB, whatever that major Boston station. This is actually bigger.
WGBH.
WGBH. Everyone thinks of them because they produce a lot of stuff, but WBUR is bigger.
Hold on. Just WGBH. I have to give props. Tony Khan was the first guy anywhere the NPR universe who was doing podcasts. He helped NPR podcast.
They're very influential. I think it's one of the major stations, but WBUR out of Boston University is bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And WBUR has a whole podcasting. They have a bunch of podcasts, and there's like a little network. And they have these kids' podcasts called Circle Around. And I want to play 3 clips from this. Let's start with Circle Round 1.
I'm Rebecca Shear, and welcome to Circle Round, where story time happens all the time. Today our story is called The Enchanted Paintbrush. Versions of this folktale come from China.
I was sitting here, I'm thinking, man, this better be a good bit, because this is really gonna. I mean, thank you. I want to play that intro again, because this is
I'm Rebecca Shear, and welcome to Circle Round, where story time happens all the time. Today our story is called The Enchanted Paintbrush. Versions of this folktale come from China. Some really great people came together to bring you our adaptation of this tale, including Philippa Sue and Stacy Keach. So circle round, everyone, for The Enchanted Paintbrush.
Did you say Stacy Keach?
Yep.
Stacy Keach. He was a famous actor. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he still is a famous actor. All right,
Once
you can stop that.
time.
Really? I'm ready for this.
Okay, no, play the beginning of it so you get a feeling for it. Yeah, keep playing.
Yeah, I want to hear right away. I hear Chinese music. I'm intrigued. This
yeah.
is great for the kids.
Once upon a time, there was a powerful emperor. The mighty ruler wore the most luxurious clothing.
And he had orange hair.
Sumptuous food. And lived in a grand palace with so many rooms, floors, and hallways, his hundreds of guards and servants often got lost. So, given everything the emperor had, you'd think he was content, right? Satisfied? Nope.
Oh, I love this. Let's teach the children all about the emperor. Okay.
Oh, yeah, we want to teach the children about Chinese emperors.
Nice.
Well, but that can't be too consistent. Let's play this one, which is WBR Leaky Bucket.
I'm Rebecca Shear, and welcome to Circle Round, where story time happens all the time. Today our story is called The Leaky Bucket. Versions of this folktale originally come from China.
What? What is going on? Oh, man. I thought hijacking the Pope was bad. All right, next.
Now, I will admit that not every folktale comes from China, but none of them seem to come. They do have a few, but it's minor. They're all foreign. They will not. They don't do Hans Christian Andersen or anything. A good example is this one, which is the last clip, which is the incident, which is the dinner date. And this one is actually a European folktale, but they're not going to do the European version because that would be too Western.
Today our story is called The Dinner Date. Variations of this tale come from many places, including Greece, Sweden, and Russia. Our adaptation is inspired by versions told in parts of Africa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is run by China, yes. And by the way, Troll Room, when someone says, oh, must be a slow news week, this is the news, douche. China is taking over your children.
Now, this one is not as much about China as it's just about, this is called What If World. It's a major children's podcast. This one just is because there's something baffling here that'll be in the second clip, and I want you to explain it. But let's get an idea of this particular story, which is called, and it's what if they have these stupid premises, and this is what if a squid squirted Jell-O instead of ink. And that's the kind of premise that every What If podcast has got. What If World podcast has.
Okay.
That's kind of the crazy premises. But let's just play part of the first clip, and then we'll get to the meat of it.
Okay.
What if kittens played the glockenspiel? And what if unicorns were real? What if you could fly or travel back in time? We welcome you to What If World.
Okay.
What If World. This is What If World.
Okay, I think we got the positioning.
Hey there, folks, and welcome back to What If World, the show where your questions and ideas inspire off-the-cuff stories. I'm Mr. Eric, your host.
And I'm Fred the dog, here to shout out William and Ada. They're from Illinois, and they always like it when I try to eat things.
So that's why you've been gnawing on my chair?
Just a sticks.
Okay.
I've also got to shout out Carolyn, who likes writing books.
I am here to shout out Parker and Amelia.
Oh, they wanted me to help, though.
Of course, Fred. They like Legos and making up adventures with JF Cat, Abacus P. Grumbler, Alabaster Zero.
And always Fred the dog, obviously.
Yes.
Then there's Ella, 9 years old, who likes writing comics and playing Animal Crossing.
I am very concerned about my co-host on the No Agenda show.
Now, I want to say what the reason, just let this go. That was to give you a feeling for the podcast and the way it's going to go. And the fact that kids would listen to this is kind of beyond me. And I wonder if anybody listens to it, because I want you to listen carefully to the second clip, and I want you to tell me what it says.
3 is much less than 50 million. Oh, who cares about math? But in their arguments, they hadn't noticed Fred going towards a giant jar of squid slime.
Oh, yummy squid slime. Almost as good as sticks.
Tell me I didn't hear that.
We were going through these podcasts at the dining room table, and everybody heard that.
This is a version of "Do you like fish sticks?" I mean, this is. Let me play it again. That last bit.
Oh, yummy squid slime. Almost as good as sticks.
Is that boing yours, or is that...
No, that boing's mine. You play clip 2A and you'll hear the whole thing in context without the boing.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yummy squid slime. Almost as good as sticks.
No, stay away from that jar of squid slime. You smell bad enough, said JF Cat.
Good catch? What is going on?
I said, look, we'll let this chat room, maybe they can hear what that word's supposed to be.
No, they exploded in the same laughter. They heard it. They heard dicks. Wow.
Well, unless somebody can tell me what that word is, I'm going to assume that they're just pulling one over,
so to speak. Wow.
So that's your kid podcast report for 2020.
And for more, you can always look at some of those creepy kid shows on YouTube. There seems to be a lot of creepy stuff around, but that on WBUR, yeah, from especially the Chinese.
Well, the what if show is not WBUR.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The WBUR is the China stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
And the what if is from where?
It's just on the internet.
Oh, okay. Well, very good.
I don't know if it's associated with a channel or a network.
Well, that kind of fits in perfectly to what Bo Jiden was saying the other day as he came out and did a speech. Listen carefully.
To get our people to work and our kids at school safely, to get our kids to market swiftly, to power a clean energy revolution in this country.
We got to get our kids to market. What does he mean?
I have that clip too.
What does he mean?
No, can you not have that clip?
What does he mean? Get the kids to market swiftly.
So, doggone it.
I wouldn't. I got a couple of political stuff that I think is kind of interesting. If you want to talk about 2020,
can we do an entremont just for a second?
No, I'd love to. Yeah, sure.
Kind of an oldie but goodie I want to play.
Yeah, sure.
Because I do have the ISO of it. I think it is a suggestion for the end of show.
Okay.
This is Oldie O'Reilly.
Oldie O'Reilly.
We haven't heard it for a while.
All right.
We will leave you with I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Right. Thing sucks.
That ending, by the way, is me. I know I've said that. Exactly like that. You know, usually in some kind of technological meltdown.
Thing sucks.
Yeah, so I guess this is your ISO.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Yeah, nothing beats to do it live. I like that you brought that back. I did have some other ISOs that I was, let me see. Well, I had a Tedros, I guess.
It's going to get worse and worse and worse.
I had that one, and what's this? I don't know what it is. What's this?
Someone who's very restricted.
No, that's no good.
Well, that's only in context. You got to play Yamiche on Fauci, 25-second clip.
Yamiche on Fauci.
Chief, so tell us, what more do we know about it came to be, and also about that White House relationship with Dr. Fauci?
Well, what we've seen is an escalating war between the White House and Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci has served some 5 presidents before President Trump, and he's someone who's very restricted. He was someone who also said before this op-ed was written by Peter Navarro that the American public should really trust scientists, including himself.
Very restricted. Very restricted.
She said restricted.
Restricted. No, she's Yamiche. Restricted. All
right.
There's I don't really have any clips, but I just wanted to note that the Epstein-Maxwell conspiracy theories are off the hook right now, and a lot of this,
they're the best.
A lot of it takes place on Instagram, which I have an account, but I will not visit it. I have, so when people like Ancilla send me a link, I've got to, go to a different machine, copy the link. I just won't do it on most of my computers or anything really. But it all kind of stems. So Ghislaine Maxwell is arrested, and that immediately brings back up Jeffrey Epstein and the pedophilia and the coveted list, the flight log. And this flight log now really has a life of its own. Within 2 weeks, I'm just telling you what is out there. Within 2 weeks, we will see John Roberts, Supreme Court Justice, step down. And he, of course, is on the flight log manifest of Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express to the Pedo Island. So we'll see him step down. This is just what I'm being told. This got to be true. It's on the internet. My favorite, though, which is really schadenfreude for me, is Christy Teigen. And Christy Teigen, who was married to John Legend, John Legend is just douchey. But she has...
Mr. Douche.
She has such a big mouth on Twitter and Instagram, and she's just always calling people out, and she's been canceling people and telling them to shut it, because she's very powerful. She's with John Legend. But the mob turned and came after her, because she also, along with her husband, John Legend, are on the Epstein Lolita Express flight manifest. And they dug up tweets from 2011 where apparently she was live tweeting while watching Toddlers and Tiaras, which I think should be a forbidden television program just to begin with.
It's gross.
And she would tweet things like, seeing a half-naked 5-year-old do the splits. Oh my, I love this so much. Hashtag Toddlers and Tiara. But it goes on, and now she's like calling the FBI, Twitter, help me. She's deleting all these tweets, 60,000 tweets. I don't know what she's doing, but she's completely out of control. And the mob is spinning. It's just good. And here's the best. The Wayfair. We forgot to talk about it on Sunday. Yeah, I was pissed about it. I forgot to talk about it on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you haven't heard about it, Wayfair, which is the e-commerce shop that pretty much sends you IKEA level, put it together your stuff made in China. Some of it's quite interesting, but most of it is really low quality crap. So they found these storage cabinets, industrial storage cabinets, which were selling for $14,000, and they had children's names associated with them in the title. So, of course, it makes nothing but sense that these are pedophiles who are selling children in cabinets and mailing them to their customers. And this went on and on for days. And I'm pretty sure I can say, they don't really put children and ship them in containers. But I do have an idea of what's going on here. And there was some good work. There was putting like, this cabinet is named the Jacinda, whatever. And like, look, here's a child who's been missing for 5 years. Her name was the same. There is something going on, though, because this happens a lot. It happens, and you could set up your own storefront on Wayfair. very similar to Amazon, very similar to eBay, and many, many others. When you see a $9,000 pillow for sale, or it could be a storage cabinet that has a name or some other than the actual product name that seems a little bit off, my understanding is these are used by money launderers. And in order to find the proper product, they'll put a little code name in there so you can search. And this, I'm sure some of it has to do with human trafficking, but it's probably 99% drug money that is being laundered through e-commerce sites. And when you think about it, it's really genius and very hard to track down. And nor would I say that any of these companies want to track down such high-ticket items that give them a nice VIG. And this has been going on since art auctions. What was the Hugh Grant? Wasn't Hugh Grant in a movie where his wife to be has some shitty art and her dad and Goomba?
I don't know this movie.
Anyway, but it's money laundering. Yes, and there's real money laundering going on. It could truly be for bad things.
I think Amazon used to be a conduit for this.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
I remember when you could, you'd look up something and you knew exactly what you wanted. You put it in there, a camera, let's say, an Icon F something, 20. And it would come up, there'd be here's one. And there's another one that was jacked up price of $10,000. You'd find this and everything you'd look up, there'd be one guy selling it for 30 times more than everyone else. And so I had to assume that that's just some sort of scam.
Yeah.
It's a scam of some sort. And money laundering is the best example because they got to get that money into the circulation.
Yeah. So I think that's what it is. Not that I don't enjoy all of the conspiracies surrounding the elites, but with what happened to Legend and Christy Teigen specifically, this is related to all of a sudden Ghislaine Maxwell being arrested. I mean, that could have happened 2 months ago, 3 months ago, could have happened a year ago, but no, it happens now. I think we got some October surprises coming and perhaps thousands of sealed indictments.
Yeah, she's not dead.
Speaking of pedophilia,
and I'll just end with a little global aside, which is the research that's being done about how much better countries run by women have done during the COVID pandemic, from New Zealand to Taiwan to Germany to Finland, etc. And, maybe it's not a very big sample, but the kind of inclusive leadership that actually followed the evidence and listened to science has proven to be quite effective.
Women are so much
that well, by the way.
No, they have not. But women, why does she laugh when she says it? Is it because she's embarrassed to say it, or she knows it's not true, or what exactly is the point?
I think she knows she's giving somebody the needle. I think it's a genuine laugh.
Gee, okay. Angela Davis. Didn't you bring the Angela Davis clip?
I had a whole bunch of Angela Davis clips.
Yeah, so now she's on the radar, and for me, mainly because of her weird speech. She likes to talk about things.
Talk about
things. She is she is a surrogate at this point for Joe Biden, and she is promoting Joe Biden, and she's very honest.
And Marxism and Leninism.
She's a Marxist. She says it. It's not a problem. That's fine. There's lots of children following this, and they shall get what they wish. Here is why she supports Joe Biden.
So I think that in the long run, we need to break out of the two-party system, both of which are very much tied to corporate capitalism. But of course, that is for the long run. And we have less than 5 months before the upcoming election. I don't see this election as being about choosing a candidate who will be able to lead us in the right direction.
Okay, let's just make sure we hear what she's saying. This election is not about choosing a leader who will steer us in the right direction.
I don't see this election as being about choosing a candidate who will be able to lead us in the right direction. It will be about choosing a candidate who can be most effectively pressured into allowing more space for the evolving anti-racist movement. Biden is very problematic in many ways. He is not only in terms of his past and the role that he played in pushing toward mass incarceration, but he has indicated that he is opposed to disbanding the police. And this is definitely what we need. We need to reconceptualize the very notion of public safety.
Right.
But, I say but, Biden is far more likely to take mass demands seriously, far more likely than the current occupant of the White House. So that this coming November, the election will ask us not so much to vote for the best candidate, but to vote for or against ourselves. And to vote for ourselves, I think, means that we will have to campaign for and vote for Biden.
Because he's so much easier to pressure. He's a pushover, that guy.
He's a pushover. He's a wimp.
Perfect. Just another update on the 2020 election in the United States. This has got to be my favorite story. Kanye West announced he's going to be running. Then all of a sudden, there was an article that came out, and the article wasn't even. It didn't even say the way it was interpreted. But it was, well, it looks like some consultant somewhere spoke to a journalist and said, well, it doesn't look like he's serious. I don't think he can get, a complete non-story. People familiar with the matter. The headline raged everywhere. Kanye drops out. He drops out. Dropping out. That was a short bid. Kanye's good. And so people, of course, tweet.
Put a time code down for that series of voices. Pretty much the public at large. You just did it right there in one spot.
I know you can hear them. It's exactly the way they sound. And so, of course, I tweeted this article. I said, the article doesn't say this, but everyone's treating it as if he's dropped out and he's given up. And good friends of mine, tweeting back, Curry, you're out of your mind. You've finally gone crazy. You are really, truly the nut job. And I said, okay. And today, Kanye West officially listed as 2020 presidential candidate. He's on the Oklahoma ballot. And that's just the first of many. And what people are misunderstanding is Kanye West is not out to win maybe any election. He is out for political power. And you are fools. Kanye is a very, very smart man, and I stake my reputation on it. I look forward to seeing what he will do with his apparent 2% in the polls, for whatever that's worth. 2% he's polling. That is enough to be incredibly substantial in this particular race. And then there's a whole bunch of other people where I say, and in fact, Tina's best friend there in Florida, you know her, she's the New York Jew libtard. You met her.
I did?
Yes, of course you did. At the wedding.
Okay.
We've talked about her many times.
Yes,
you know what I'm talking
the wedding
about.
Girl.
Yeah. Who I love because she is so open and honest, and she really will say exactly what she feels, and there's not a bad bone in her body. But when I said, I think Kanye seems like a pretty interesting choice. Well, what? Because, of course, a vote for Kanye is going to be a vote for Trump the way they see it. Whereas I think Kanye, he might have a nice trial run for 2024. He's a billionaire. He speaks wacky, and people seem to enjoy him. He has every chance, just as much as Trump did. So I'm very excited about Kanye West in the 2020 race, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more And again, I stake my reputation on him making a difference. Not winning, making a difference. Because that's what he's doing. I think he's very smart for it. He'll be very powerful with this.
Well, maybe.
That's okay.
He definitely makes money.
Yeah,
He's a businessman.
But that's what everyone is saying. Oh, yeah, he's so smart. He'll sell his shoes with this. Yeah, he's doing it for promotion. No, that's always the benefit. I think he means it. I know Kanye well enough from what I've listened to. Anyway, all of this is being held up. All we're waiting for now is this final bit of news, and that will change everything in the next few weeks. Are we going to lock down? Are we going to vote from mail from home? All of this hinges on one thing, as always. Follow the money. Here is Larry Kudlow.
We're looking at a lot of things. It's pre-decisional. Formal talks haven't really begun. But
wow,
look,
what a word!
The president
I know, isn't that great? Pre-decisional. I don't know. Is it a word?
It is now.
It's pre-decision. It's kind of like pre-cancerous, I guess.
We're looking at a lot of things. It's pre-decisional. Formal talks haven't really begun. But look, certain things the president has said, for example, he wants a payroll tax holiday. That would give about a 6.5% increase to after-tax wages for people either going back to work or have been working all the time. We'd like to see some unemployment reforms. We like return to work type bonuses of a modest nature. We don't want to give people disincentives not to work. There may be extensions to PPP. That's to be decided. There may be some targeted, directed assistance from direct mail checks to individuals and families. That hasn't been decided yet. There may be a capital gains holiday. There are a number of items that we've talked about publicly and the president has mentioned. So at the moment, that's kind of the grab bag.
And this would be for the fourth stimulus package. And it's not really interesting what people will get. The states are all sitting there. How much is in it for the state? How much for New York City? That's what that's about.
Well, he did say something in there that perked up my ears.
Mm-hmm.
A capital gains holiday?
I heard that too. Does that mean you can sell your house or something? Or does it mean it's just deferred? I mean, that's a Wall Street
we
thing.
Don't know what it means.
But that's that's a Wall Street gimme, isn't it? Capital gains.
Capital gains. Yes, if you have a holiday, or they're not going to, let's say you can sell stuff for a month, then you don't have to pay capital gains on it.
Right.
Well, first of all, that'll crash the economy. So I don't think they're going to do that. But it would be dynamite.
I don't have any capital gains to take advantage of.
Yeah, there's plenty of people that do.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And we do have a few people to thank, and I want to make sure that... Whoa! Hold on a second.
What? What happened?
My spreadsheet just went blank.
Oh, you scared me.
Well, it scared me.
Yeah, it went completely blank.
What's going on here?
Well, I can get us started.
Here we go. No, you know what it was? It was that, I hate to say it, but it was Dave of Columbus's fault. Sir Pipkin of the Space Coast is number one on the list with $133.33. John's next with Central Florida, $100. Anonymous, $100. I think there's some missing here. Again, anyone who's missing on from this list, send us a note. We'll put you on a make good list. Anonymous, $100. Matthew Renz from Minneapolis, Minnesota, $66.66. I misplaced my No Agenda neck gaiter, and I'm hoping this donation makes it reappear.
I'd like to remind people that there is no official, noagendashop.com are producers who like to make stuff. They do whatever they want. They throw us a third of the money whenever it works out, and they pay the artists. So if you want anything from No Agenda Shop, you got to go to noagendashop.com. And we're happy that they're doing that. That's how the value for value system works.
Baroness Monica's in Drayton Valley, Alberta, $63.33. She says we've been doing an excellent job. Ethan Morrison in Mariposa, California. And he's calling out his brother Kyle as a douchebag. That was worth $60 for sure. Sir, not appearing on this podcast in Richland, Washington, 5678. Sir D-Boop, B-Boop, Sir B-Boop, 5656. Sir Marcus of the Hinterland in I don't know how to pronounce this German town. Doubtfittel?
Let me see.
Doubtfittel.
I've never seen this name. No, because
I've never seen this either before.
PH is not very. That's not German. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, anyway, he's in Deutschland. Kathleen Stokes in Woburn, Massachusetts, 5555. Rebecca McCullough in Putney, Vermont, $53, and she's got a birthday call for her husband. Long-time listener. Nancy Murphy in San Bruno, California. Show up at the meetups, $52.44. Dame Patricia Worthington in Miami, Florida, $50. And these are all $50 donors. Name and location as appropriate. Brendan Wood in Mendon, New York, $50. Jonathan Rux in Alpharetta, Georgia. Peter Lockwood in San Francisco. First-time donation. He's a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
It's your job karma at the end there, Peter. Michael Burlett in Odessa, Florida. Michael Rockwell. Christopher Muller in Cedar Park, Texas. Brandon Savoy in Port Orchard, Washington. I was just looking back at read over Rockwell's thing. He needs a de-douching.
Okay.
Chris Slewinski, Sir Chris in Sherwood Park, Alberta. Albertans in droves here. And finally, last but not least, John Camp in Antlers, Oklahoma. I want to thank these folks for producing show 1260. And we made it all possible. I want to thank everyone who donated lesser amounts. And everybody helped out. We will continue doing another show on Sunday.
Michael Rockwell has been listening to No Agenda since the very beginning. He says, I've never donated until now. I'm sorry about that. I was a big fan of the Daily Source Code, loved Cranky Geeks. Many of my political opinions have been formed because of the influence of U2s. No Agenda has done so much to keep me sane. I plan to be donating more in the future. The show is too important not to. I think he deserves a de-douche.
You've been de-douched.
Simple as that. And thank you all very much for supporting the No Agenda show. As John said, also people coming in under $50. This is, go listen to the Tom Woods show. I explain it all there in detail. We should probably make that a feature somehow so you can understand the Value for Value Network, its genesis, and why we all collectively produce the best podcast in the universe. And it's really true. From the notes that you send in, the financial support, the art, the jingles, the clips, the pure intelligence, sometimes intel, we're all in it together. And I'm very appreciative. And I love my job. Please support us at Dvorak.org/NA. For those who need it.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
It's your birthday. Oh, no agenda.
All right, here we go. It's our birthday list for today, the 16th of July, 2020. Sean Cardinal, Sir Sashka Shidison, says happy birthday to Sir Paul the Black, who turned 33 on July 11th. Addison Todd, happy birthday to his mom, Vicky. She celebrated yesterday. Chris Whitten, happy birthday to his brother Ian, turned 41 yesterday. Rebecca McCullough says happy birthday to her husband Kevin McCullough, celebrating today. And Pete Lockwood says happy birthday to his brother Josh in advance, who'll be celebrating on July 18th. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. We have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We have 3 nights. This is good. Here's my oh shoot. There it is.
Here we go.
It's stuck in the sheath. I hate it when that happens. Yes,
here's Johnny.
Up on the podium, please. We'd like to welcome Andres Fortuna, Peter Bickford, and Addison Todd. All 3 of you have supported the No Agenda show in the amount of $1,000 or more. That qualifies you to sit here with this ever-growing table of No Agenda Knights and Dames, and I'm very proud to bring you in by pronunciating the Sir Tuna of the Atlantic Ocean, Sir Steiner, the expat from Spokanistan, and Sir Addison, CEO of Shitposts. For you, gentlemen, we have Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay. We've got Asking for Apple Skivers and Aquavit. We've got goat chops and goat milk, bong hits and bourbon, mutton and meat is the final one, and of course ginger ale and gerbils. And well, I'll just keep it with the mutton and meat because that's what everybody seems to like. Thank you for your support, and you do have a official No Agenda Night ring on the way with the sealing wax and the certificate. What you do have to do is give Eric the Shill some of your details, so go to noagendanation.com/rings. We'll get that out to you as soon as possible. And thank you all once again for supporting No Agenda, the best podcast in the universe.
No Agenda meetups.
We also talked about this on the Tom Woods Show about the No Agenda meetups. He actually inquired about it. He said that one of his listeners had told him about the meetup, and he was blown away by the whole concept. And I said, well, this is what you have when you have the value for value system. People pitch in value. Producer Daniel put the noagendameetups.com site together, and people just want to go hang out together and talk with people where they feel safe and can be clumsy and awkward and not worry about it. You can say dumb shit, and people aren't going to excoriate you for it. It's really a fun experience, whether it's a big one or a small one. It's a good time to hang out with people who have at least one thing in common. Here is a report from Spook Central, Alexandria, Virginia.
Hello, John and Adam. Hey, this is Sir William at the Alexandria Meetup. Just hanging out here with some like-minded people, waiting for the boogaloo or the vinegar giblet, whichever comes first.
Hey, it's DC Girl from Smashcast in the morning.
Hey guys, this is Steve. Love the show. Keep it up. This is Sir Chris, founder of the No Agenda Fat Guys Club. This is producer Carl, first member of the No Agenda Fat Guys Club.
This is Daniel, Bongo Boy on No Agenda Social. I don't have a podcast. I don't have a Fat Guy Club. I'm just a guy. But I'm here, so in the morning.
In the morning to you, John and Adam. This is Not Yet Sir, Speedo Josh. And John, when is your WATP episode going to come out? I am excited for that.
This is Pierre, winner of the Grand Door Prize. Yes. And I'm pretty sure I won it because I parked in parking space number 33.
Hey, good morning.
Now that sounds like a great group. That sounds super fun over there in Alexandria, Virginia. When are you going to be on that show, WATP?
I thought he was talking about the Women's Tennis Pro Tour.
Ah, yes, that would be it.
I don't know that I've lost track of that one. I'm sorry. You're going to have to somebody's going to have to send me an email.
All right. New England. This was the New England meetup.
Here we are reporting on the 2020 summer meetup. This is Sir Knives, and I would like to introduce you to all of the gentlemen who saw fit to show up today.
It's almost like one of those hurricane reports on CNN.
This is Sir Brett Mahoney in the morning.
This is Not Jake from the Quiet Corner, ITM.
In the morning, Sir Ernesto here. Ah, jeez. Sir Nathan Lee Miller Foster, Chaotic Good Night of the White Lodge, Blue Orchid of the Goldheart Mountaintop Queen Directory, Elfstone, and Bearer of the Sword Reforged. So thank you very much for what you do, and thank you for your courage, and thought this weird shit wouldn't be happening. Oh, thank you.
In the morning, this is Brandon, Negro of the Northeast. I just want everyone to know I'm coming out with a new book called Black Fragility. Look out for that one soon.
And this is Lady Butters. I am lucky enough to host these fine gentlemen at my house today. Drink your beers, fellas.
Drink your beers.
Wow. Another one I would have liked to have been at. Sound like funny people, man. Keep those coming. Keep them around a minute. And I love these that are the most unprofessional ones often crack me up the most. Thank you very much. NoAgendaMeetups.com. We do have a quick overview of what's coming up. Just as a tease, we have this coming Friday, Montreal, Quebec, Hey Citizen Organizing. That'll be on 6 p.m. Details on the site. Croatia Also on Friday, 7 p.m. at the Adriana Bar. Alex is organizing. Saturday, the Western New York Local 8008, 2 p.m. Sir Road Wolf needs some help in coordinating that. July 22nd, so that's next Wednesday, the Calgary Meetup at 6 p.m. That's the backyard meetup, so you'll have to RSVP for the address. Also on July 25th, the Saturday, Greater Seattle Post-Rona Vitamin D Hike Meetup. And let's see what else. We have the Central Illinoisian meetup for July coming on the 25th. Also, Flight 005 with the No Agenda, Leo Bravo. I think that's, is that Los Angeles, the 005? And at the very end of the month on July 31st, What's Cooking, Oregon Local 33 at Cook Park Tigard. And there's a lot more that are scheduled. You can find them all at noagendameetups.com. If you don't see anything near you that looks like fun or it's just not near you at all, start your own. It's simple. noagendameetups.com.
Sometimes you wanna go hang out with all the nights and days. You wanna be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You wanna be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
Like a big ass party.
Well, I've got a couple of things. I still do want to mention or discuss a little bit this Goya brouhaha.
Yeah, okay. So can I tell you how I see it? It's like the CEO said something positive about Trump, and everyone tried to cancel him.
So they tried to cancel him. Of course, this is a Mexican seasoning company. They actually sell beans. They sell all the canned stuff. I don't think a lot of their canned stuff is as good as La Constaña, I think is the one I like. And if you go to a Mexican store to shop. But they do have a couple of things I want to point out to people to at least to buy as their seasoning, to use just all-purpose seasoning.
Okay.
And one of them is in a kind of a green bottle. You want the biggest one you can get, because once you try this, you're going to use it, and you want the big giant bottle because it's too expensive if you buy a small one. It's the Goya Sazonador Total, and it's called the Perfect Seasoning, and it is stupendous. This stuff is good on everything. It's great in a salad. It doesn't, it just adds a dimension of flavors of a mix of one of these.
Hold on a second. What is it called again?
Sazonador is Sazonador Total, Total.
Like golden seasoning, I guess?
No, it's total seasoning.
Oh, okay.
And anyway, it's a stunner, and you can take a heaping tablespoon of this and mix it with some sour cream, just straight up, let it soak in so the pieces, absorb the moisture of the cream. And then it's a potato chip dip stunner. It's a stunner. It tastes better than the buttermilk stuff. Anyway, so that's good. And then the Goya adobo, another one where you need a big giant thing of it. The adobo seasoning that they have is a dynamite all-purpose meat seasoning. It's particularly good on chicken. And so those are the two that... Of that brand, this is the two things I like, and they're worth checking out. I don't think, by the way, before you play the jingle, I don't think that this so-called boycott is going to do any good, and I think Trump didn't need to pose with it, neither did Ivanka.
The more you know in the morning.
Yeah. Anyway, cooking tips. People come here for cooking tips, occasional cooking tips.
Yeah. Well, I like your cooking tips.
You'll really be impressed with this Goya seasoning.
Well, I'm going to try it. I mean, I'm sure I've had their beans, but I've never really considered their seasoning.
No, they're all their canned. This is canned goods. I mean, anybody, is whatever. The mixed seasonings that they make, the adobo and the total seasoning is dynamite.
I think it's actually time, and if you wouldn't mind considering it for Sunday's show, I think it's time we have another recipe to discuss on the show. It's been quite a while, and maybe you have something for people who have been locked down at home. They're really tired of what they're making. The whole family's kind of pissed off at each other anyway. I mean, maybe there's something that could be a healing meal, that could be a Dvorak special. I just have a feeling there's something there.
So I have 3 clips of rap.
Okay.
Now I'm going to see what any of them should be. Oh, this is one. This is a shorty. This is one that I always like to get these clips because this This is from a WBR show about a bunch of stolen paintings from a museum. And this is the paintings more important.
I would say that the museum, the paintings are exponentially more important than a podcast.
I don't see how that can be true.
I just love those clips.
That's bull crap. Podcasts are more important than paintings. All right, next.
Now I have 2 clips left. I got the Trump campaign shakeup story from NPR, which is probably worth listening to. It's a news story. And then I have the item of I promised the guy yelling at the woman and the woman yelling at the guy in Walmart about face masks, which might be the way to end the show.
Okay, so we'll do Trump first.
President Trump is shaking up his campaign as polls show him trailing badly to former Vice President Joe Biden, both nationally and in key swing states. As NPR's Tamara Keith reports, Bill Stepien will take over as campaign manager.
Stepien worked for former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and served as political director in the Trump White House. In a social media post, President Trump said he is elevating Stepien to campaign manager. He replaces the tall, bearded, and brash Brad Parscale, who's been running the campaign since 2018. Parscale will continue on as a senior advisor leading digital and data strategy. He vastly overestimated and boasted about the size of the crowd that would show up to Trump's rally in Tulsa last month, and has also faced criticism for the campaign's inability to settle on an effective message. Though Trump insists it will be easier to win this time than last, campaigns that are going well don't have dramatic shakeups like this. Tamara Keith, NPR News.
Well, I guess that...
Campaigns that are going well don't have dramatic shakeups like this. I mean, what is that editorializing thing at the end there? Is that supposed to be news coverage? I'm not sure. The reason that Parscale was booted out or kicked upstairs or whatever you want to call it, advertising, is because he screwed up that Tulsa thing big time.
Well, not only
it
that,
was unacceptable.
But where was the? Well, there's a couple things. Where's that big technological surprise he was talking about? Bull crap.
There's another one. Yeah.
Bull crap. But also, there's a lot of complaints about the texting and the text messages. You know, the ones that I'd like to read out loud. And so I'm still getting the ones from 88022, which is the text number. But either the campaign has sold them or given them, or Jared Kushner took them. I don't know what it is. There's all these other numbers that you get texts from that say, hey, it's Don Jr. here, or hey, it's Mitch here, Mitch McConnell. What's the other one? It's just all of these jamokes, and I think it's probably a scam. I don't even know if those are real or not. And they're egregious, and it's all the 600 times match, which, by the way, I know how it works. The matching, I figured it out. Our producers went and asked. The match.
I'd like to know myself.
Yes. The match comes from donations that were made, but anonymously or by corporations who do not want to be attributed to the donation. So you have to have, from what I understand, you have to have a name associated with the donation. So they take out of that pool. That's why it's easy to say 5 or 6 times. They have the money. They just want to make sure it's put in the system legally with a name attached to it. So if you send your $50 with a 500 times match, a 500% match, then all of a sudden there's $250 that is attributed to you. They had the money. They just couldn't put it on your name.
Wait a minute. Do I get credit from the tax man for the $250?
Well, there's no credit on.
Otherwise, what's the point?
There's no. You cannot deduct political donations. I hope you know that.
But then what? I thought you could.
Well, yeah, you can until you get audited. Then it may be kind of an issue.
Oh, well. Luckily, I don't donate anyway. But just beside.
But that whole thing, it's all win red. It's incredibly annoying. In fact, I'd say it's kind of disgusting how far they've taken this. And I think that by itself was reason to get rid of Brad.
Big Brad.
And
Big Brad
Brad's just
monster.
Brad's just a web guy from Pennsylvania who fell into this. I mean, I'm amazed he's been in this position. He's been campaign
I'm amazed
manager.
He's got suckered by those fake, fake people signing up for the rally.
Yeah, it was pretty weak.
I mean, if you're in the internet scene at all, you have to be skeptical about everything like that. That's out of the ordinary.
What I find
was out of the ordinary.
What I find so interesting is people look at Trump and say, "Well, he fires everybody. He can't hire. He does not hire. It's all parts, but wrong people." Blah, blah. Look at the list of people he's fired. It's like, is this some kind of surprise? Did you all not see The Apprentice? That was a reality show. That's Trump. That's got to be the way he operates. Hey, you seem like a nice guy. Go ahead, go do it. You're not good. You're fine. Goodbye.
There are plenty of businessmen that use that model.
Absolutely.
You can see it. Let's take it to a level that everyone understands. You can see it at certain colleges where you have a football coach. If the guy doesn't perform, they gets fired immediately. And you have other schools like, let's say, the University of California at Berkeley, where they hire some slacker and they let him be coach for 5, 6, 7, 8 years and say, "Oh, God, he's not working out. Let's get rid of him." As opposed to some other area, like you say, I'd say Alabama would be a good example. Oh, they're not going to get rid of for a while. But these SEC schools, the guy, one bad year, he's gone.
Yeah.
So there's different theories of doing business, and Trump is a turnover guy. Man, every once in a while you keep turning it over a lot, you end up with something like Kayleigh McEnany.
A bonus.
You get a gem.
You get a gem sometimes. All right. Now you want to do the Walmart clip?
This was okay. This is a scene videotaped by some Karen-like woman. He's a fat guy that's at Walmart who's looking in the hardware section for some bulbs or something, and he's just standing there minding his own business, looking at a rack, and she starts yelling at him after he sees her filming. She's filming him, and he calls her out.
You take a picture of me. Does that make you feel better? Why don't you get a life, lady?
Dude, I have a life.
No, and it's going around taking pictures of people.
Yes, because what you're doing,
so
can you not follow the lines on the floor?
Keep your mouth running.
The governor, the mayor has asked us all to wear a mask, and look at you, not wearing a mask.
Oh, dear.
I wear a mask to protect myself.
It's so fucking political. It's unbelievable. Now, you have accosted me in this store.
You've accosted me when you came upon me within 6 feet not wearing a mask.
And if you're going to keep this up, maybe we'll get the police department in here.
Hey, Mom, why don't you call 911 then?
Yeah. Oh, God, another one. You people are like monkeys falling out of a tree.
No, you're the monkey that hasn't
Hey, I'll tell
dragging
you what.
those knuckles that you've not evolved.
Okay, how's that grab you?
Ever heard of Darwinism, evolution, evolve, mister?
Why don't you burn something down?
Why don't you go back to where you were?
Why don't you
need to evolve
tear a
from?
monument down or something, you know?
You must be the one who's... Are you burning crosses? Are you burning crosses?
Fucking idiots, man.
You are. No, you're the idiot.
Yeah. But you're the ones playing your life on a freaking computer. You have no life. So this is what your life is?
It's a cell phone. Dude, I'm out doing my shopping.
Unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
Yeah.
I bet you wouldn't wear. Good luck with the virus. Good luck with the virus. Your whole family tree is getting cut off at its roots.
It was funny kind of the first time, but I'm so sad by this. I'm so sad by people are ill. It's not good. Oh, I did have
my favorite line in that was, "Have you ever heard of evolution? Evolve, mister."
Knuckle dragger.
God.
I did try out my line on our friend in Florida.
Oh, what was the line again?
Okay, here's the scenario. So I finish the show, I go down, and the ladies are at the pool, and they've had a couple of frosés, and which is good because I'm coming out of it. I'm like I'm completely dazed after doing the show, and she said it was a throwaway joke. She said, "Yeah, okay, white man." She said to me, I said, it came out beautifully. I said, "Excuse me, how dare you use your privilege to presume I am white? I've done the work." And she was floored. Her mouth fell open. And she went, "Oh, that's a good point." Yeah. And there I am saying I'm not white, and it froze her in her tracks. I was so pleased. So pleased. So
That's a good point, is what she said.
Because she was frozen. She couldn't, because there's nothing to say at that point. And
it's a stopper. It's a showstopper.
But here's the best thing. So what did you talk about on the show? I said, doing the work, because they hadn't listened. Doing the work. She says, oh, yeah, I've been doing the work too. I said, stop, let me guess. Have you been reading a book? Yeah, White Fragility. I'm like, so on Sunday, we've got some more clips about this, because this phenomenon is very interesting to me. And it goes much further, I think, than we realize. I mean, now even the feminist movement is under attack. I mean, everybody is eating everybody else. And we are the podcasters documenting it for prosperity.
Yes, we are the podcasters documenting it for posterity.
And we're proud of it. And we hope you're proud, because after all, it is also your show. You are
and it benefits the producers, yes.
That's correct. Please remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Check out our new website. Go to noagendashow.com. You can see what producer Tim has done. This thing has got troll room transcripts. It's got the player integrated. It's crazy. I tell you. You can do chapters. Also, all of our search engines, search.nashownotes.com, Bingit.io, noagendaquest.com, noagendaquery.com. These things work. It's very impressive. We have end of show clips from Jesse Coy Nelson, Tom Starkweather, and Jason Lewis with something crazy. Coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 here in Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA region number 5 on the governmental maps. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I don't see a lockdown coming, even though they're threatening it. I'm John C. Dvorak.
Nick the Rat next on NoAgendaStream.com. Until Sunday in the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry. Adios, mofos! And such.
Wednesday, I met a woman with COVID. And Wednesday, she coughs so all the time. So and I thought that the rules were simple. And I thought, hell, I wore my mask. And even though I'm not wheezing, the doctor said that I did something wrong. COVID kills you. Yeah. Mortality 0.002. And Friday, she called to say she had corona. I don't need to worry, just go get tested. Go find a place they're running rapid tests. Anywhere I don't understand how it goes through where I'm only testing negative. No. And my temperature ain't up and my pulse ox is strong, but this woman said I had to go home. Results can be wrong and you gotta stay away. People are dying cause people don't obey. Reporters hover while we weep over others who've been dying since the day they were born. Well, this is not that. The tests say I'm fine, but they don't. And I thought I'd live forever, but now I'm not so sure. They try to tell me that they're clever, but that won't let me out of here or anywhere. Mortality's 0.002.
If you've been out in public and exposing yourself,
Wear a mask when you're having sex. Couples should wear face masks during sex. New study insists.
They're screwing with us. Did you actually read that sex study that says you should have wear a mask? No.
Yes. Wear a mask when you're having sex.
If you've been out in public and exposing yourself,
teach your lover the meaning of submission in no time with this PVC masquerade mask and ball gag.
Mask being mandatorily required is not only an act of voluntary servitude, it's slave training.
Wear a mask when you're having sex. There actually was a study where couples were encouraged to wear face masks during sex. Now,
Will they do that at the S&M clubs?
It's slave training. Slave training.
Wear a mask when you're having sex.
If you've been out in public and exposing yourself,
masquerade mask, and ball gag.
Joe Biden is blasting President Trump.
We're still in a deep, deep job hole.
He plagiarized from me, but he can never pull it off. He likes plagiarizing.
The president wearing a blue mask with the presidential seal on the side of it.
The data is clear.
They love to see those commas in these figures.
Coronavirus cases are growing faster than any country on Earth, up 1,237%.
They're going to see the new rules.
We are realizing that the virus, in a way, this election, it gets a vote as well.
We've got to get them to do very fundamental things. Closing bars.
Certainly nervous about them opening up this weekend, but in some ways it'll be a bit of an experiment for those that want to go.
It will be transformative.
I think we should be slightly encouraged.
Really?
I got that man everything.
Come on, it's not that hard. But the forecast only calls for rain in the morning.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.